Hello and welcome to DCP Live episode number 155. This week is going to be interesting because Pope Bear's not here. He is enchilada bitch. That's why.
Yes, he is the enchilada bitch
Yeah.
for all of Oakland.
So that's why it's interesting because Pope Bear's enchilada bitch. Yes. And Fran,
That's right.
Fran is also gone. He's trying to steal recipes for enchiladas unsuccessfully, obviously, because, you know,
of course,
I don't think he'd be good at that. Let's be honest, right?
So
a few times is not an enchilada thief.
Nah.
by enchilada bitch, we mean that Pope Bear is going to Taco Bell and buying a bunch of enchiladas, right?
Yeah, he actually
know.
loves Taco Bell.
He is a big fan of Taco Bell and greasy stuff and throwing up.
He does like to throw up a lot,
Yes,
as
exactly.
Tefty witnessed during.
Yeah, that first-hand encounter was something. And the second time of him getting ready to throw up again, I was like, all right, this is real. Anyways, we got a great episode this week. Drewsky, welcome, man.
Hello.
How you been?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Excited to be on the show.
Yes,
Thank you for having
excited
me.
to have you.
Oh,
I was telling you earlier, Drewsky, that you're probably the most referenced person on this podcast that we've never actually had on the podcast. We talk about you all the time because you use a controller on PC. And like a lot of people talk, well, you know, if you're going to be on PC with a mouse and keyboard, you know, you can't compete with a controller. Like, actually, Drewsky's over there competing.
Right?
Well,
I wanna know.
I'm honored.
I want to know how many times when you're streaming are people asking you, why are you using a controller? Why don't you use mouse and keyboard?
More times than I can explain. Like, not exaggerating, I'd say at least every hour.
Once an hour
That
at
sounds
least.
about right.
Yeah.
I think for the
yeah.
people that like watch me, they can confidently say it's either someone that really hates me for doing it or just genuinely asking why. But every
Please explain
hour
that.
and a
Why
half.
would somebody hate you for using a controller on PC?
Be surprised.
Yeah, a lot of people very much like do not like it. They definitely dislike it.
Is there any
I
reason
know.
that you can like crack as to why? Like what goes behind the psyche of just being so dissatisfied with somebody using a controller?
I think it's mainly because of a belief that there's less effort required for a certain degree of precision as compared to M&K, where it's like, you know, a lot of people do like a lot of aim trainers, things like that, where it takes more effort, or some believe it takes more effort to really, you know, refine that kind of precision. So
This
I guess
flies
that would
in
be
the
the
face.
counter argument, right?
This flies in the face of years and years and years of PC players believing that they would just completely trash console players if ever the two were to meet, because mouse and keyboard is clearly the better way of playing a video game.
The proper
And
way.
now mouse and keyboard players are getting upset, not just in Destiny, but in other games as well. Fortnite.
Right?
Fortnite.
Overwatch happened.
Didn't they ban controllers in Overwatch
Yeah,
on PC?
like a couple years ago. They had to, it got to the point where they just were like, all right, we're gonna ban it. Yeah.
I find that very satisfying. like very humorous.
It's also really silly to like get angry over something like that when things like One Eye Mask and Bottom Tree Striker exist in the game. Yeah. It's like
true.
Yeah.
It's like that's been happening, and you're mad over the input device. You know, it's strange.
People get very emotional about it. Yeah, it's gone to the point where anytime someone asks about it, I just assume that they're mad at me, and I'm gonna
and it's unfortunate.
I'm like ready to like, okay, they're gonna tell me that I suck, and because it's a lot of people do frame the question a lot of the times, and like, why are you using a controller? Like making fun of you for using a controller.
They throw like a forehead in there or something.
Yeah, I feel like genuinely bad because sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I gotta own up to it. Like I give after I've been asked so many times in a day, and like this just normal person comes in and is like, hey, you know, why did you choose controller? Like I respond assuming that it's like with malicious intent. It's truly unfortunate, but
don't feel too bad. I do the exact same thing.
Yeah,
it does kind of skew your perception of people who are just like genuinely. Someone comes in and they're like, maybe they're switching from console to PC, and they're like, well, why did you choose to stick with controller? Is it good? You know, they're just curious. But I instantly assume that they're here to make fun of me and be mean.
So
Same.
let's flip the question a little bit. Why actually did you choose to stay with controller? Was it a preference thing? Have you used mouse and keyboard before? Do you still go back to console? Do you go back and forth? You know, like
I mainly play PC. But for me, it was just like it was a few things. So the first thing was I had a long time, a lot of experience on controller. I enjoy controller. I don't know how to explain it. I like the way it feels. And I used to play like Halo for a long time now. Maybe not as veteran as some other players, but Halo and Call of Duty, and I've always just felt really comfortable on controller and just thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's what I've known gaming to be, is on controller. I've never really had an interest in PC games. But furthermore, it was at the time I didn't have as much of a following, I guess, moving into Destiny 2 and the PC release. So I wanted my content to be relevant to what I thought was still going to be the majority. I know a lot of people thought that like people were going to swap over to PC, but I thought that the majority of people were still going to be on console and playing controller, like no doubt. So I wanted my content to be relevant to those people, and I wanted to be able to still be in the discussion or at least elements of the discussion, while still kind of reaping the benefits of PC, which is like obviously a better frame rate and FOV, etc.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
Real quick, I'm gonna change the region of the Discord server
See if
to
we can
see
fix
if
the
we can get rid of that
clicking.
popping.
Standby chat.
Hey.
There we go. Hopefully that fixed
Let's see
the
if that's
popping
any better.
right there. So you decided to stick with it because you want to be more relevant for the content as well, for people coming from console and PC, and because that's a big discussion on YouTube as well. I remember when D2 came out on PC, there was a big uproar of people on YouTube that were upset about people playing on PC because it felt like it was
Oh my god.
a different platform, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
When how long have you been doing YouTube?
I started doing YouTube in the last year of Destiny 1.
Okay.
So
you got to experience
however long that's been.
that transition right there of those people being like, what's going on with these platforms? They're different. You're playing a different game. What the hell? With the PC stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you feel like it's calmed down a bit, or do you still see a lot of those type of comments?
I see a little bit, but I don't think that there's a whole ton anymore. I think that people generally understand that like under the hood kind of controller works the same as it does on console.
Yeah.
But there are still things that make it feel far different and are obviously advantageous, like frame rate and FOV being two things that massively change your perception of the game. If it's not actually doing anything mechanically, whether it is or not, it's changing your perception and how it feels a lot. So it still makes a difference.
Number one thing I notice is people say, if they haven't seen 105 field of view, they go, why is your character running so much quicker? And it's literally the field of view changed. That's it. It's no speed differences. It's just when the field of view is smaller, it looks like you're slower in movement speed. Definitely interesting. Yeah. What kind of content, for those that don't know your content, Drewsky, what kind of content do you focus on for Destiny?
It's a lot of PvP oriented content. I do some PvE stuff here and there. I still like take a good interest in PvE, but it's mainly PvP, like in-depth reviews, and lately just a lot of more like I try and be like in-depth or critical discussions about different elements, perks of PvP. Just I try and make like a lot of really in-depth breakdowns and content, like I said, whether it be a review, discussion, loadout, etc.
Nice, that's great. On Twitch, do you help people get to higher glory skills and all that, like get those weapons?
Glory skills. Do you do training camp?
Unfortunately, only once in a blue moon. I'm like usually on Twitch, I very much prefer being solo, whether I'm doing quick play or competitive. I mean, sometimes I'll play with my friends in competitive, but it's like a lot of the time I'm solo, and I feel like it's because it allows me to focus on chat better and like
it does,
better. Like, I just feel more comfortable when I'm solo like that, and it makes it so that games aren't kind of like almost steamrolly sometimes. I don't want to. I don't like like just rolling through games. I like trying to have decent end-to-end gameplay and talking with chat.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah.
I noticed that it's kind of tough if you're streaming and you're with a team. You have this choice of, do you talk to your team or do you talk to chat? because you definitely can't talk to
Mhm.
both at the same time. It's awkward
No.
if you're doing that. So
It's always like, Watson, you muted. I'm like, God damn it, I'll talk chat. And I feel bad because I'm constantly like muting me, muting them, muting me, muting them.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, it's more comfortable to have a lot of conversations with chat if it's just
Yep.
you, for sure.
So with PvP being one of your main focuses on the channel, this is going to be a 2-part question. How has
Tefty 2 times.
Tefty
Oh,
2
no.
times coming in? I'm taking Fran's shot. He's spelunking enchilada recipes.
He's
So
splunking.
I gotta
enchiladas. He's splunking enchiladas. Yes, he is.
How has PvP for you been for the year of Forsaken? And then how is that going to follow up with what's your anticipated stuff for ShadowKeep?
Okay, that's
a big question. I know. It's
this has been it's
a
crazy to
chunky
think
one.
that it's been a year of PvP now. I think that it's definitely had ups and downs. I think there was a big upward decline in terms of my overall enjoyment with PvP. So like upward climb, I was really liking it off the release of Forsaken, and actually for a good long while. Honestly, it's only been until like a few months ago that I'm like, kind of getting tired of what feels like some of the same
sandbox.
Yeah, same sandbox. There seems to always, or for the past few months, maybe half a year, I don't know now. It seems to have been a very one class that kind of stands out and is like super duper powerful, and supers are kind of running wild. And but over the years,
Strider hunters, obviously, right?
yeah. That super lasts forever, especially when you're blocking. That's crazy.
One highlight though there's been a lot of really cool, unique weapons that have come around, and that's actually what's kept it very enjoyable for me in maybe the face of some very powerful supers abilities that could get annoying to some. I think some of the weapons that have been released and come out have been some of my favorite ever, and like tons of fun to play with.
Yeah, can you name a few of those from this year?
One of them is Izanagi's Burden. That's like one of my
nice.
all-time favorite guns, I think, in all of Destiny. And I talked so much crap about it initially. I'm like, yeah, there's no point to using this thing. And then I started using it. I'm like, I love this.
What do you pair with it?
I use Not Forgotten or Recluse,
Okay.
but Not Forgotten mainly.
Okay.
And I just love just being able to. It's one of the only weapons that off of spawn you can shut down a super because you stack your 2 bullets.
True.
And it'll kill to the head. And then on top of it, it just looks really cool when you stack it. It's like the whole barrel kind of lights up gradually, and then it sounds really awesome and satisfying when you shoot it. But when you shoot a super with it, it's even more satisfying. So
nice.
I love it.
That's cool.
Other favorite weapons over the year, Not Forgotten. I don't know, that might be a controversial one, but I love that. I love Luna's Howl, and
how'd you feel about the changes that they did to it?
I'm like sympathetic and understanding, but also a little upset or salty about it. I just think that
weird. Like with the headshot thing, because the identity of that gun was going for precision hits, and then switching that to a body shot, like all of a sudden felt really like a strange change.
Yeah, so I think that was really odd because a lot of the reason I believe that Not Forgotten was performing so well is because of how inconsistent other hand cannons were, and I really would have loved their like to explore like fixing other hand cannons before going like full on nerf, I guess, which I guess inevitably we got. So cool. With the was it the TWAB last week with the animation changes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, like you said, the identity of the weapon is supposed to be about getting precision hits.
Yeah.
I thought there was a lot of really cool, like skill intensive things you can do with that, with like deciding how you were going to disperse or deal damage. That was like a whole deciding factor with that gun. It's like I can get 2 headshots, maybe finish off the person or put damage like 131 to the head in another person, then another, or 2-tap the other. There's just a lot of really cool decisions you can make with that weapon. And of course, if you were to you can't miss, they're doing all of it. So I thought that was really cool, and it reminded me in a way of like the Halo 1 Magnum. So
the God gun.
I kind of like that. Yep.
Yeah. Hey,
I felt like that was like Destiny's Halo 1 Magnum.
Real quick, since you mentioned Halo, like, what's your favorite Halo?
Favorite Halo? I think it's got to be Halo 3.
All right. Yeah.
I think
It's
my
a good
favorite
one.
is Halo 3.
Halo 3 is a good one. Absolutely. How do you feel about armor lock and reach? This is very important. This extremely important discussion right here before we move on.
I do not like armor lock and reach.
Good. Excellent.
I do not like armor lock.
No, we can
I don't like
continue
armor
the
show.
abilities,
Fantastic.
unfortunately.
What is your preferred guardian in Destiny?
Hunter.
All right.
Ah.
You have passed.
I think we should get
I use
Drewsky
evade.
every week. Can we replace Pope Bear?
This is good. All right. I'm glad. So what are you looking forward to with ShadowKeep and the changes that are coming? Obviously we don't know all the details and how things are actually going to feel in the sandbox post ShadowKeep, but like, are you, like what's the feeling like right now for you? Looking forward to it.
I'm really excited for the Super DR changes. I think that's overall like a net good. I'm interested to see how it plays out, because I don't think there was so much changes made to the supers themselves and how they act, but the damage resistance. So we'll see if those supers kind of the ones that have been, raining or just raining havoc on the Crucible, bottom tree striker. I mean, what? Yeah, we'll see if those continue to be so strong. So I'm excited for that. I think that's overall like a pretty positive change. I'm excited for Armor 2.0. I think that's really interesting. I think that's really, really cool what they've done. Almost like it reminds me of a pick 10 system from like COD.
Right.
It does. Yeah.
And I think that's really awesome. I think the choice in your loadout is going to matter a lot more, which is really cool.
They
So I'm
said
really
in that reveal trailer, thousands of builds.
They did.
Armor 2.0, thousands.
Yep.
Do you believe that? Do you
I
think
do.
there's really going to be thousands of builds?
I mean, it's like I'm sure there's going to be a lot of variety and thousands of builds, but how many viable competitive ones? Because those loadouts are usually what surface the most and become the most used. So we'll see how
That's
many.
always the question, right? It's like Division 2 has thousands of builds and one good one.
Yeah. It makes me excited because I feel like this is the first time that we're coming into Destiny that is embracing those things. At the end of Rise of Iron, we did have intellect, discipline, and strength and all that. And it was fun to chase a tier 12, but it wasn't like an absolute game changer across the board when you had a tier 12 build, but it was a build that you could chase. I'm curious to see how effective these builds are going to be in ShadowKeep to change your gameplay.
Yeah, I'd be wondering the same. I mean, like, we'll have to see. I just like personally how you can change or like just have so many perks readily available. Things like the armor mods are going to be, I believe, reusable. As I said, which is really awesome. So you can just change your build on the fly with different exotics, different helmet perks. The whole synergy of your loadout isn't like kind of like bound to certain armor pieces. So I like that there's a lot more decision making to make, and I think that opens up a lot.
Yeah, same.
And maybe combinations of perks that we haven't seen. So
right, absolutely, yeah.
I like that. I like deck building, as they've referred to it. I really, really love deck building. I'm into card games as well, so I like that whole idea of like stacking up my loadout, and the synergies it's going to have, and the things it's going to excel in, and counter the things it's maybe not so good at. And
absolutely,
I really love that.
Yeah.
Are you going to be going for a day one raid? Come ShadowKeep?
Yes, I definitely will be.
Nice. Do you have any plans on how you're going to prep? Any pathway? Are you actually, first off, are you stacking bounties?
I'm not.
And
I'm not. I don't think anyone in our group right now is really stacking bounties. Maybe I might, like, just from playing PvP as I normally would, might as well pick them up. But I don't think that I'm going to be doing like much prep. I think my group's just going into it and just going to grind the powerful rewards or however the most efficient thing ends up being, and see how the raid goes.
For some reason, I feel like with 5 days to prep and with the new way of leveling up, like it doesn't feel like you need to prep as much as you might have in the past.
Well, I'm
mean,
also
I hope
hoping that it's the raid, the levels they set the raid for would be scaled towards people not hoarding bounties, right? It should be set
Right,
for
with
people who
competition.
start day one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is that what it's called? Competition, right?
contest.
Contest rules.
Contest. My bad.
But it is a competition.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we have a jumbo TWAB to get through. Before we jump into that, Drewsky, just so people know, where can they find your stuff online to get your content?
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Drewsky's channel. My Twitter is Drewsky's channel. My Twitch is Drewsky without the channel. I believe that's everything. Instagram, Drewsky's channel. Yeah.
Awesome. That's great, man.
One more question. Do you use a PS4 or an Xbox controller?
I use an Xbox Elite controller.
Ah,
nice. And
I just actually got a new Xbox controller delivered.
Oh,
and I really like it. Kind of went with the DCP theme with the
red.
black and the red.
I was gonna say, I like the color.
like it. It's one of those Scuf. What is it called? Prestige controller with the paddles on the back and a
Mhm.
rubbery grip. I really like it.
Ooh,
Coupon
nice.
code DCP if you want one of your own.
Is Scuf controller DCP? DCP Live?
Mhm.
What's our way? Is it DCP or DCP Live?
It's DCP.
Just DCP.
DCP. 3 letters, guys. DCP. Get yourself a Scuf. Bam.
Stuff Scuf.
Scuff up. All right.
I do
Scuff
really
up.
like it though.
I like that.
Which
I was using what is it? What's the PlayStation? The Impact?
The impact, yeah.
The scuffed Impact. I was using that on PC forever.
Mhm.
But like sometimes PS4 controllers act weird on PC, even if
They
you have
can
like
do.
that DualShock 4 utility thing. So I just decided to go all in and go
Nice.
straight up Xbox controller.
All right. I feel you. I still use like a regular Scuf PS4 controller. Like the PS4 build.
Oh, you don't have an Impact?
I do actually, but I like the feeling
You
of the
still
PS4
like the old one?
controller with the paddles on the back. Yeah,
Mhm.
if I'm using controller.
That I do like the Impact because it feels like a bigger controller
Mm-hmm.
for my big
Right.
hand.
You got some meaty paws wrapping around
Got
that
some meaty paws over here.
So, the big boy
Yes.
swab this week.
Big boy TWAB.
Juicy, thick,
Like our
lots of
entire
details.
world is
All
shaped.
of the TWAB.
Yep.
It's like they wrote all of the TWAB this week.
Yeah, this week, Briar has a big job. He has to go through the TWAB, and then he has to listen to us ramble about things that are disconnected about it. It's going to be a tough
Yeah.
one, so give Briar your spirit energy.
I've been
all right?
drinking, so we should be good.
Okay. Briar's been
Hold on.
drinking. Hopefully, he's going to get the details.
Briar's perfectly
Okay,
ready.
I'm ready.
to read all of
Let's
this.
kick it off.
So basically, the changes that they are talking about in the TWAB this week are combat changes, progression and economy changes, patch note preview,
Whew.
ritual weapon and perk
My
changes.
God.
Set it straight, wear it with pride, and Bungie rewards. So we're gonna start with combat changes.
Oh boy. This is
The-
a lot of math, I think.
This is right. We need math class on here to help
We
us
do.
out with this one. They're too
I don't
busy
get at
winning
math,
beer
I
pong
understand.
tournaments, but
It's true. It's true.
the way that PvE damage numbers are going to display after Shadowkeep is going to be a little different. This one actually makes a lot of sense. It looks like they're just. I'm trying to summarize this. Help me out if I'm wrong, but
Okay.
it looks like they're just going to lower the numbers that are displayed, but your actual damage percentage is not going to change when you're shooting enemies. And they're doing that to lessen the times when you just see damage getting capped out at 999,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, you're going to be doing the same amount of damage per shot, but the value, the numerical value is going down, but the actual damage you're doing is going
Yeah.
to be the same.
I do want to give a
It's a
follow-up
UI
on that, though.
update.
I want to give a follow-up because they did say they're rebalancing all these numbers for Shadowkeep. So while that is true that we're going to have the, like the actual display of the numbers are getting adjusted, but it's the same for Shadowkeep once they've adjusted these things. Like crit multipliers and body damage and all these things for different weapons are changing across the board. So
True.
But the actual number that it says when we shoot them are changing so they can have more headroom on those numbers.
This is something that is pretty common in MMOs. As players get more and more powerful, that number gets higher and higher and higher
Mhm.
and harder to legibly display.
Yeah.
And it looks like Bungie's just kind of pulling back on that number.
Yep.
Just makes it more accurate, the numbers you see.
Yeah, makes it more conceptual for you to experience why you're doing more damage as you grow powerful. As you go frat
Yep.
from strength, right?
as you grow
Yes.
fat.
Yeah.
Yes. just fat.
They're also changing PvE difficulty tuning. So combatants that are 10 to 40 light levels higher take less time to kill and deal less damage.
Okay.
Higher level combatants continue to increase in difficulty up to 100 power levels above the player. When enemies are 100 power levels or higher above the player, they will be immune to damage. Nameplate icons on high-level combatants have been updated to reflect these changes, and these changes affect only higher-level combatants. The at-level or lower level, the at-level or over-level experience remains unchanged.
Okay.
Yep.
So if you're way over-leveled, no change. If you're at the same level, no change. But because there's such a disparity, I think this time around with light level, they're actually like increasing the graduation of how difficult enemies are when they're way above your level, which I think is smart considering what they're doing with power level.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
And should actually come into, we should see that in the raid, I would imagine, like how, depending on how powerful things are in the raid, possibly you're less likely to see like undamageable enemies in the raid on day one.
Right. Well, hopefully you're not going to be 100 points under.
Right. Hopefully.
Hopefully. That's
Fire might be.
that's a big yikes.
They're also changing progression and economy changes. So rewards for power and progression. All non-powerful rewards now drop 3 to 0 points below your highest equipable power level, up from 15 to 20 below. This is a huge
It's
change. It's going to
massive.
make leveling up so much smoother, because let's say all of your gear is at like 850, except for your class item that's at like 820, but you just can't get that class item to drop at like as a power weapon. Like this has happened to me many times. You just have that one holdout that just will not drop as a power weapon or a power item, which means it won't drop at your current level or above. It can really slow your progression when you're leveling. But if all non-powerful rewards are dropping 3 to 0 points below you, then any class item you get is basically going to come up to your regular power level to 850, and then you'll be able to kind of continue your power reward, no matter your power grind, no matter what you're getting.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
it's really good change.
That's massive, honestly. Like,
It's really good.
Yeah.
Makes
If
you less
Fran was
reliant
here-
on pure RNG.
Yep.
Well, the RNG can really mess you. Like everybody's been in that spot where like you get 4 power drops that are all the same exact like item. You know, like they'll all be heavy weapons. So you make no progress through like 4 or 5 drops, and it just can be infuriating because you know that you're not going to get those drops back, and you've basically spent hours and hours and got no power level.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. They're saying highest equipable power level. So does that mean, let's say go with the example of 850, but you have a helmet that's 860. Does that mean it's going to drop between 857 to 860? That class item?
Geez, I would have guessed that it would be your power level based on your entire gear score.
Yeah.
I think so. I think what they mean by your highest equipable would be, my guess is that if you're not currently wearing your highest power level stuff, it's going to be based on the current higher equippable stuff you
So
can
you
get.
think
That's how I
you
know,
think it's
but
going
I
to
might
be
wrong.
your number with all of your highest equipped stuff. It's going to be
Yes.
0 to -3 of that. That does make a lot of sense. The way they worded it is a little confusing though, because it's like below your highest equipable power level. No, yeah, that makes perfect sense actually. Framing it that way, because I want to put gear in there, highest equipable gear, and that's obviously not correct. But yeah.
Yeah. So you can just you might have something super high sitting in your vault somewhere that you maybe didn't see, but you can equip that, so it takes that into consideration.
Yeah. The biggest change right here though is all of the blue stuff that drops is going to be 0 to -3 of what your max power level is across the board, and that's
huge.
just
Yeah.
I mean, it's massive. You can actually go and do you can do strikes or public events, getting those blue gear and get upgrades for the grind.
And it's just a waste of time, especially when you're trying to get ready for the raid.
Yeah. And also it's across the board, all non-powerful rewards. So if you're 950 or let's say you're 940, I'm assuming this means that those blues are going to drop between 940 to 937 as well. Is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once again,
Really good.
massive change.
Yeah, it's a huge change. I think it's gonna reduce player frustration
Mhm.
in a big way.
Yeah.
You know, when Fran
Absolutely.
talks about power per hour, I think this
Mhm.
is going to smooth that out. So you're not going to have these huge spikes where you got 3 power rewards in a row that just happen to be exactly where you need them and like gain 20 power.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to, you know, you get 3 that are all heavy weapons, you gain no power in the same amount of time, right? It's going to just smooth that transition out, I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Also, it's because we have the artifact now, and that's going to be raising our power. I think another reason why they used equipable is because it's not going to take into consideration your artifacts power.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's a good point.
Year 2 power reward sources have changed to legendary rewards. The sources no longer have a chance to drop random exotics instead of the legendary gear, which I'm also kind of happy to see because it sucks when you get an exotic when you needed a legendary.
Right. Yeah.
That can be a real bummer sometimes. Bonus exotics that drop from the Nightfall, the Ordeal will drop at the character's highest equipable power level. Under and over leveling activities no longer adjust how much power is received from the rewards. I'm not sure I get that one. Under and over leveling activities no longer adjust how much power is received from the rewards.
Wasn't it if you did like a 100K or 200K Nightfall, like that gave you bigger
Like
jumps?
a big boy drop?
Yeah, it gave a
Okay.
bigger jump, like 5 or 6
Yeah, I think
points.
you're right.
So I guess that's not-
Experience. So that won't happen anymore. Experience no longer fuels a player's character level, which has been changed to be level 50 for all characters. Experience instead progresses the season pass, seasonal artifact mod, and power progressions, as well as unlocking the destinations for new characters.
Mhm.
Experience rewards have been rebalanced with the introduction of the season pass and seasonal artifact progressions.
This is interesting.
Yeah.
The artifact mod, you're going to be leveling up with experience. I really like this. I can't wait to see how it feels in concept or actually.
Yeah,
in
the season
playability.
pass and season artifact mod, I think, is a big change to Destiny 2. And I'm really looking forward to how that feels because that's a change in the monetization of the game
Mhm.
that I'm really hoping works out to improve player experience.
Yeah.
We'll have to see.
Yeah, exactly.
The power granted from the seasonal artifact is additive with the power of the player's equipable gear, but does not increase the power of gear drops. That's like Watts just said.
Mhm.
All existing gear has its power increased to a minimum of 750. New characters will begin Destiny 2 at power 750 as well. The power bands for Season 8 are as followed. Floor is 750. There's a soft cap at 900. All drops up to this point will be upgrades to the most powerful item in your inventory or vault. Beyond this, so this stuff could be in your vault as well. Beyond this point, only powerful and pinnacle rewards will increase a player's power. Power cap 950. All non-powerful pinnacle rewards are capped at 950. Pinnacle rewards are the only way to raise power above this point. Powerful rewards are equivalent to the character's highest equipable power beyond this point. So at 950,
Mhm.
all non-powerful pinnacle rewards are capped at 950.
Yeah.
Pinnacle rewards are the only way to raise power above that point. Okay.
Mhm.
Pinnacle cap 960. This is the highest power at which gear drops, also known as the hard cap. The seasonal artifact bonus power allows characters to attain values above this level.
Yeah.
So gear drops at a maximum 960, and then your artifact will allow you to get above that.
Yep. That's going to be an interesting climb right there.
Yeah.
Wonder how long it's going to take for all those things
Oh.
to realistically mature, for the average player.
I wonder how long that's going to take, and then I wonder with the next season that comes, what they're going to expect players to be at.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, next season, though, beyond that, I mean, they're doing this thing where it seems like they're leveling people to be ready for the content regardless. So next season, beyond that, it's most likely you're automatically 960 or 950 or whatever. I guess that would be
You think, or you
January?
think this is a one-time thing? I would think December. Normally, the content comes out in December.
The past 2 seasons, they've been doing these catch-up mechanics. They started with Season of the Drifter, where people went and did the quest and got a bunch of blue gear that boosted them.
Yeah, that's
then
true.
They did the same thing with Opulence. I think they've found that that's really good and responds really well with the community. So they're probably gonna keep on doing that every time.
Season of the Forge was not.
Yeah, they got
a good way to go.
A lot of people got pissed off about that.
So that's it for leveling up. You know, it's a big change to Destiny 2.
It is.
We're just gonna have to kind of wait and see how it feels.
It's a massive change. I think the biggest thing is like I'm assuming this is correct. I'm assuming blues are going to drop between 0 to -3, even above 900. So like if you've reached 920 light level, then all your blue drops are technically going to be, you know, like you can essentially catch up the things you're missing until you've reached that point and then go get more powerful drops, you know? So this is a big change from the past where you just exclusively relied on power drops. Now you'll be able to get a boost, and if it does increase your light level, the most optimum way then is to then go fill out the rest of your gear with blues that would increase your light level to raise up that 1 point.
Right. You might, instead of doing your next power reward, or I guess it's going to be called a legendary reward, is you might want to run a few strikes and just kind of fill out the gaps so that your average power comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Your character power comes up to whatever your kind of highest power is, and then do your next legendary reward.
Yeah. Also, it might be just legendaries, but it could be just the standard legendaries that drop normally. That could be going 0.
Even if it is just purples,
mm-hmm.
You know, that's way improved over having to rely on just power drops.
Yeah, exactly.
I think another thing worth noting before we talk about prime engrams, because they specifically said that things are going to be dropping based on your equipable power, and it's not taking into consideration your artifact level. When it comes to people hoarding whatever bounties they can to level up their artifact, it's not actually going to take that into consideration with new drops you get. So you can get maybe a little bit of a boost of a power level from that artifact, but you're not going to be able to get this massive boost at the beginning of ShadowKeep, and then all your new gear is going to drop because of that power boost.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that kind of helps the bounty hoarding a little bit as well with that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
People will still do it though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. You get it seems like you will get an advantage, but it will be a quite small.
They addressed the bounties to a degree in here.
They did a little bit.
Yeah, some of them still are hanging over, but most of them are getting wiped.
Let's talk about Bright Dust a little bit. Bright Dust is now.
Did we talk about prime engrams?
I think you said prime engrams. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the prime engrams.
Yep.
No way.
Prime engrams now gain charges more quickly, drop more frequently, and have a higher maximum charge cap. 9 charges up from 6 during year 2.
Cool.
Okay. Cool.
Power gains have been rebalanced for the increased frequency, providing +3 power down from a range of +4 to 7.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's super fair considering that all gear is going to drop at like your light level.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And these are going to be more frequent too. So
yeah,
you're gonna have 9 stacked up potentially if you're not getting them, or if, I mean, the question I have is, are we gonna hit 900 in that first day? Like, is it gonna be easy to jump all the way up to 900? And then if you are, then you're not really gonna be stacking prime engrams. You're gonna be pulling those every day.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's tough to say, right?
So. It's hard to say. Yeah. It's hard to say. We can level indefinitely though, which is cool.
Yeah.
Players who have completed the Prime Example quest prior to ShadowKeep's release will earn changes, but those changes won't drop until the character has reached 900 power.
Earn charges. Charges for your Prime engram.
Yeah, they won't drop. Yeah.
This will help players avoid spending charges early for gains that are most beneficial during the soft cap to powerful cap range.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Seems good. I mean, we have to wait
great.
to see how it feels, but it seems good.
Sounds good to me.
Bright Dust. Bright Dust is now earned by completing Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard weekly and repeatable bounties. That's cool.
Worth.
Yeah.
Much rather have that as opposed to going to test and being like, oh, I forgot these bounties because I never go to test to pick up the bounties.
We chose to grant all Bright Dust from Ritual weekly bounties rather than spreading it out across the weekly and daily bounties so people could more easily earn Bright Dust without having to make sure they complete every single day. Players will be able to do the repeatable bounties as many times as they like. Any Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard completed bounties need to be turned in before maintenance begins 9:30 on these changes, as these changes will reset them. Other bounties for the Gunsmith, Clan, Eververse, etc. can still be claimed after October 1st.
Yep.
Eververse items no longer dismantle into Bright Dust and instead grant legendary shards and Glimmer.
Yep.
New Eververse items for Season of the Undying will become available for the Bright Dust 2 weeks into the season.
Oh, interesting. So new items won't be here until 2 weeks in.
Well, I think they're going to do the thing where you can buy directly the ones that are showcased.
I see. Okay.
Right.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, that's weird. So you won't be able to buy stuff initially with Bright Dust. You'll have to wait 2 weeks.
Well, see, I'm assuming things are going to be featured. So it's going to be like a rotation of stuff.
So maybe it starts with silver and then it's Bright Dust after 2 weeks?
Seems like it's
Then you
only going
start
to be
getting-
available for cold hard cash, and then you can start using in-game Bright Dust
Yeah.
2 weeks in. That kind of sucks.
Yeah. I mean, like at this point, I'm going to be busy with the new content. And then, like if there's a really cool emote, that's probably what they're going to want to do. They're going to want to hook people with this emote that's only available via silver. Yeah.
I'm going to need you guys to, okay, I will take the bullet and I will get the mass people high five and emote thing so we can high five in the raid.
There you go.
I got it.
Eververse items no longer require Bright Dust to reacquire them or reroll perks from collections. Instead, they cost the same materials, the reward items of the same type / rarity use.
Mm-hmm.
So if you delete one, you can reacquire it without Bright Dust. Fire Team medallions have been removed from the store, depreciated into fizzled Fire Team medallions, and can now be dismantled into Bright Dust to recover their purchase price. Geez, I don't know if I've dismantled those. I better dismantle those.
Yeah, it's basically you have a couple days to dismantle at this point.
Yeah, I've dismantled like all the gear. Like basically, I just did a search for anything that was associated with Eververse or Bright Dust in Dim and deleted it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I got the tokens. Gleaming Boon of the Vanguard price has been lowered to 150 Bright Dust. Gleaming Boon of the Crucible price has been lowered to 500 Bright Dust.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
Eververse. The Season 7 Best of Year 1 engram has been retired, and in its place, players can now obtain the new Season 8 Nostalgic engram.
Nostalgic.
Seasonal milestone no longer grants a bounty. Instead, it directly grants a bright engram. This stuff is real boring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Yeah. Eververse stuff.
Eververse is going to be
engrams
there.
are changing.
You can get stuff with Bright Dust and silver.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will say this is interesting. You're not going to get an engram until you've hit. So instead of Bright Engram is now included in the free rewards of the season pass that are visible before level 100. It's also awarded every 5 levels after 100. So you're going to have to jump some levels before you start regularly just earning Bright Engrams. Right?
But that only it says nostalgic engram. So it's probably stuff we already have for the most part.
Yeah, you're 1 or 2. Well, I
Yeah,
don't
you're
have
right.
it.
Yeah.
Use your dust.
The other good thing about this is that the director now can be used to get at the Eververse store.
Oh, great. I'm so glad the Eververse
Guys,
is available in more places.
Awesome. You can load up.
Well, now I don't
You
need to
don't
go
have
to
to
the
go
tower.
to the tower to spend your silver. Oh, what a time to be alive. My
You know,
God.
it would be really nice if one of the buttons on the controller could just be mapped to bring up the Eververse store at any time.
Or a voice
Maybe the
command.
left trigger button would be perfect.
Well, maybe they'll put it in the. Maybe they'll put a thing for you keyboard users.
Like a
To
command.
have
just-
a direct access
Yeah.
to Eververse.
they should just.
Every time you hit the escape key, it just brings up Eververse or the space bar.
It was great. Awesome.
Players can now store up to 250,000 glimmer. We knew that already.
Yep.
Glimmer rewards from the majority of sources in the game have been rebalanced. Most open world sources, public events, lost sectors, chests have been significantly increased. Passive glimmer gain on kill has been reduced. In addition to directly awarding glimmer on kill, combatants will sometimes drop additional glimmer chunks, and weekly bounties award a large amount of glimmer in addition to other rewards. So you get less glimmer for killing things, more glimmer for completing bounties or
Activities.
opening chests.
Yeah.
It seems like, that makes sense. I guess it's just going to be less by like just running strikes. You're going to get less glimmer.
Yeah.
You'll have to like look for bounties, look for chests to open.
I hope the additional drop glimmer chunk thing, it looks more than just an effect that drops on the ground. Like I want to see a little gleaming light of glimmer. Be like, hey, go pick up your box of glimmer.
Yeah.
You know, there could be 1,000 glimmer right there. Don't want to miss that.
It's true. Might have to get rid of all those edge transits for all the glimmer.
I ain't touching the edge transits. Those will live on.
Spider welcomes new opportunities with 4 arms open and new deals and materials from all planets. However, Spider has noted changes in market value and has adjusted his exchange rates accordingly. Glimmer exchange now costs 10 legendary shards or 20 materials and yields 10,000 glimmer.
All right.
Tangled Shore daily bounties no longer award glimmer. They provide etheric spirals.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't have realized that.
Etheric spirals for?
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't have even noticed. Yeah.
Weekly wanted bounties no longer award gear, but now provide between 3,000 and 15,000 glimmer.
In addition
to enhancement cores.
Yeah.
Seems like we're gonna need. Seems like we're gonna need to use our glimmer.
I know, right? Like they're really making a
lot of glimmer usage.
Yeah, it seems like the glimmer economy is going to be like, oh, what's the best way to go farm up glimmer? Like, I need it now.
I remember doing a lot of that in Destiny 1. Is farming glimmer a lot in Destiny 1.
I remember that.
Xur's inventory pool and Faded Engram now include world drop exotics from year 2.
Amazing. Round of applause for Xur, guys. Round of applause. Excellent.
Good job, Xur. You're doing great.
All right, now for the interesting stuff. Here's the patch note preview. So this is stuff that when we get the full patch notes, this is kind of like some highlights from that.
Okay.
When will we get that patch note, you think? Because we know that
I'm guessing Monday,
Destiny 2 is going offline Monday for 24 full hours.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
On PS4 and Xbox, have they announced a preload time yet? Do we know when we'll be able to preload the game?
You can already preload on Steam right now.
Can you?
Yeah.
All right, I better do that.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep. I'm doing it Monday. So I'm going to delete Destiny from my computer through Battle.net on Monday because it's down, so I won't be able to play it anyway. Yeah. And then I'm going to get the one on Steam. That way I'm not taking up 7 billion gigs just for Destiny.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good point. Good point. It is a lot of gigabytes.
It's gigabytes.
Gigabytes, yeah.
Gigabytes.
I think like the download is 80 gig and then it expands to some chunky.
Yeah, it's big. It's a big boy download.
Yeah.
It is a big boy.
Yep. And no, you cannot use the Blizzard install for your Steam install. You have to re-download the Steam installation.
Yeah.
So no, you're not going to be able to just copy the files over. So if anybody was thinking about getting around that download, it's not happening.
I'm really concerned about that transition on PC because they're moving over to Steam. Like I really hope that they nail it, but man, it just seems like they're trying to achieve so much in one day.
It's concerning. I mean, new light's happening. People are going to jump into Steam for the first time. Like,
yeah.
And the game is changing so drastically.
Yeah.
It's a lot. They're really switching up just everything about Destiny on October 1st, all on the same day.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of wish that they had like made the Steam transition in like early September.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems that they just weren't able to.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure they would have loved to have done that as well. But it seems like once your thing is done with battle, like, I don't know. Yeah. It seems complicated. Seems like they didn't have much.
I think what I'm going to do, guys, is wake up Monday morning at like, say, 8 a.m. and then preload the game since I have 1,000 down, 1,000 up internet. Just want to like flex a bit for you guys. Appreciate it. Thanks.
You mean Tuesday?
Monday. Oh, no, Tuesday. Yeah, my bad.
I was like,
I screwed up my flex.
Work at all with Mondays. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna also preload on Monday. Give yourself a solid.
I meant to say
24
Tuesday. I
hours.
screwed it up.
1,000 down takes
Guys,
24 hours.
I'm fired. This is my last podcast.
Unbelievable.
Patch note preview. Added rally banners to Leviathan, Eater World, Aspire Stars.
Good.
Sweet.
Good.
All right.
Yes.
That is very good.
Rally banners are the shit.
They are great.
The Shattered Throne Dungeon is now available at all times instead of on a 3-week cycle. It can also be launched and reset from the director.
Is this because we're going to be reaching light level 999 and finally taking down Dylan Karu?
Finally.
Maybe.
Perhaps.
That's a lot of power level.
Black Armory Forges are now accessible through a director launch playlist on EDZ.
That's very nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yep. Weapon mods are now treated as reusable unlocks instead of consumables. Any mods you have in your inventory will be converted to unlocks. So don't delete any of them.
That's a
No.
really good change.
Yeah.
Fantastic change.
If the only copy of a mod you have is already in a gun, you will need to reacquire one to unlock it.
Delete your gun.
Yeah.
Right.
If the gun doesn't matter, you might want to delete the gun to get that mod back before the switch happens.
Discarding an enhancement core no longer deletes the entire stack.
That's good.
Yeah.
Really good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
This one's awesome. Borealis and Hardlight now match the Prism modifier when changing elements on reload, rotating through Void, Arc, and Solar.
Oh, that's really sweet.
Isn't
really
that
cool.
cool?
Actually.
It's
Yeah,
about
that's
time.
actually really cool.
Fix an issue where the Hunter's Tempest Strike melee ability couldn't be performed if the sprint button/key was set to hold.
No one plays on hold.
Yeah. Well, that's awkward.
That's just extra finger fatigue.
Yeah, fatigue.
that you're
Right.
that you're giving
You're
yourself for
cutting
no
your gaming
reason.
hours down just by that alone. Come on.
I hate games that don't allow you to toggle that.
Oh, can't stand that. Yeah.
Yeah, it drives me crazy. Phoenix Protocol Hearth perk will no longer award bonus super energy on kills and assists to warlocks inside a Well of Radiance if they do not also have the Well of Radiance Attunement of Grace subclass equipped.
This is a funny one. So you could recharge your other supers by getting kills in a Well of Radiance. So
Right.
like you can go from Well to Storm and then get a Storm and then go on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it worked in PvP as well, which is pretty funny.
That's
Of course it did.
disgusting. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They fixed an issue where allied golden gun projectiles weren't going through banner shields.
Sounds good. Good change.
Fixed an issue where the Queen's Wrath perk for the exotic Wish Ender bow wasn't correctly highlighting players if their shield was depleted.
Has anyone encountered that?
No.
Has anyone I don't know, sometimes I feel like I've tried to use the bow and I'm like, I swear I was looking there, and then a guy will come out around. I feel like I've
I
encountered
have
that.
had that. I think I've had that feeling before.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember being like, I didn't know there was anyone there.
I wish.
Yeah, it's like I'll be aiming somewhere and I'm like, I was almost positive I was looking there.
I barely used the Wish Ender. It was a few
It
times.
felt inconsistent, so maybe this is why. Like I remember
Could be,
this
yeah.
weird feeling of like inconsistency with the little wall hack thing it does.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Players who've obtained the salute emote in the past can now correctly select it in their collection and assign it to their emote wheel.
We're gonna need that for all the brand new light people. Want to salute them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I need a hello.
that's
I
not
can't
the
just
emote
have
I'm going with.
dances.
You're gonna
What are you?
tap the crouch button repeatedly in a steady pace.
Surprise. At a medium pace. Multiplayer buddy emotes will now have a visible indication of where a player can stand to interact and initiate the
Thank
emote.
God.
That makes it easier.
I'm just like
Cool.
hovering around them, being awkward for a real long time, trying to find the stupid button press.
Failing the first encounter for any Black Armory Forge will no longer award planetary destination materials.
Oh.
Rats.
But
What if that's
my
What I wanted to
AFK farm.
Yeah.
Did anybody use that? The AFK farm?
No.
Nope.
I didn't.
Me neither.
Look
I
at
said I
Tefty,
was
he
going to, but I
totally
never did.
Hefty's like, oh,
No, never did. Like
not the time to bring it up.
it sounds like something
Yeah,
a
I
warlock
just-
would do, right?
I would leave the AFK farm on, hit the stream button, and just walk away, go do something else for a while.
Be like Zen relaxation farm
Right.
stream. Hashtag Zen. Hashtag meditation.
There you go.
All right. So next up,
Ooh.
ritual weapons and perk changes.
This is going to be a
Pinnacle weapons,
conversation right
Spicy
here.
stuff. Yep.
Pinnacle weapons are going away. They're getting changed to ritual weapons, and they're not going to have really cool, unique perks.
Do you want to talk about that first, or we don't want to talk about why first?
Yeah, read the descriptions.
I feel like
Read the dev team description of why they're doing
Yeah.
it.
I'm not reading that whole thing. That's like a paragraph.
I'll do it. All right. Destiny dev team says the decision to stop creating extremely powerful pinnacle weapons was made for a variety of reasons. The first was that the band in which pinnacle perk can exist is actually quite small, meaning like the effectiveness and what they can actually create is a very small band in the sandbox. Yeah. And most of them far exceeded the efficiency that they should have been at, meaning that they were extremely powerful and difficult to balance. Another issue is that they cause problems in the player ecosystem, particularly in the case of the Crucible Pinnacle weapons. Due to the nature of PvP and PvE, anything that works well in PvP is likely going to be extremely effective in PvE as well because of it being so damage focused on killing enemies. This forces players into the Crucible if they want the best loadouts. Meaning if you had to use Mountaintop, or if people said you need Mountaintop, then you're forced to play PvP, and you might actually just despise PvP, and you might even result to paying somebody to go and get that weapon for you because you literally did not want to go into PvP. Even the title of Pinnacle set a variety of unrealistic expectations. Rather than being the absolute height of a legendary power, they were supposed to be interesting novelties to chase. These problems became more pronounced with more of them that they introduced. In the end, they decided that they wanted to move away from pinnacle weapons. If you manage to collect them all, they say, we hope you enjoy them. While we're on the subject of weapons, here are a few important notes on the changes of how the perks are going to work. So before we get into the perks, let's talk about their admittance.
How we feeling?
Yeah, they admitted that pinnacle weapons were out of control. I mean, Recluse, Mountaintop.
So I remember this was before Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten were nerfed, and we were talking on stream about, well, what do you think? Do you think it should be nerfed? How do you think it should be nerfed? And I said that I think by them having pinnacle weapons, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot in a lot of ways, because any new legendary perk that can roll on all weapons that they make is not going to be as fun or interesting as the pinnacle weapon perks. So I feel like they really put themselves into this corner where they were struggling to make exotics that were more powerful and more interesting than pinnacles, and struggling to introduce new perks for all legendary weapons that are interesting and powerful, because it's the pinnacle weapons. So now you corner yourself into that situation where you have to make these pinnacles all the time. And like they said, it's a very small pool of stuff that you can create that's going to be worth chasing. So I think this was kind of inevitable a little bit.
Drewsky, how you feeling about this?
I think there's a lot of like really good that pinnacle weapons have done, and like I love them. There's some of my favorite weapons, but there's also a lot of like really not so good, because in PvP it kind of in some ways, and I'm sure some people have maybe said this, but like it brings a degree of imbalance, because there's a requirement for the PvP ones at least of getting to a certain rank, which is, I guess, supposed to take hypothetically a certain skill to do. And if you are not getting there, like, you know, the players that are like quote unquote good and get there are being put at a further advantage than the people who aren't there. So like, they're already, perhaps better than some of the other players, but now they're like the rich get richer kind of a thing.
They're better and they have better weapons.
Yeah, they're better and they have more viable weapons, more competitive weapons. So that's like,
almost made it a requirement to be decent at PvP, as opposed to being bad at PvP and doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah, it's like, these are like meta defining, like top tier weapons. Like Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten are some of the most meta defining weapons that we've seen in Destiny 2. Same with Recluse, Mountaintop, and if you're not at that level, you know, of course, have a harder time competing. Yes, they've introduced a lot of alternatives since then, but I think more specifically for console, like something like Not Forgotten, because of other hand cannons not perhaps performing as well because of the inconsistencies on controller. Not Forgotten obviously became like the weapon to use and still is. And for the people that, you know, can't get that or don't have that skill or whatever time, whatever it might be to get to that point, it's like, you know, the way I kind of thought about it in my head is that, you know, I kind of think of, like I said earlier, the Not Forgotten and Luna's Howl as like the Halo 1 pistol of Destiny. And what if you played Halo 1? I don't know if everyone's going to get this, but what if you played Halo 1 and you were the only one with a Halo 1 pistol and everyone else had an assault rifle? Like,
Right.
that's like, it's pretty jarringly different. So I think that's the downside of Pinnacle weapons. On the upside, I really, really loved how there was a deterministic reward to chase, that it was like, yeah, you have all these random rolls. Yeah, there's exotics. But if you want a good guaranteed, at least in PvP, good guaranteed like top tier weapon, a great weapon, you can play PvP, and that's how you get the weapon to keep playing PvP at a decently competitive level. I really like that. It took an element of randomness out, allows people that enjoy PvP to get into PvP, and earn like weapons that were relevant through that.
So here's my question on that. Do you think this change, where they're not going to be essentially pinnacle weapons anymore and not have those exceptional perks, is that going to cut a lot of the motivation for you or other players to jump into PvP if there isn't that carrot?
I fear that. Yeah. I mean, I fear that. But I'm for me personally, like,
do you want
just
those
enjoy it
players?
anyways,
I'm
so.
sorry, Drewsky. Do you want
You're
those
good.
players in PvP that are only there to get that weapon? They actually hate being there. Like, do you actually want them there?
I don't think it makes
No,
a healthy
I mean, I'd
ecosystem.
want,
No.
yeah, I want people to play what they want to play. I mean, I'm always going to be an advocate for like, try this mode to get into this other side of the game you wouldn't play.
Yeah,
just because you might like it, but if you,
I'm okay with that
like
too.
it,
But like the mountaintop grind and the recluse grind and the not forgotten grind, those are long-term grinds. And for recluse and mountaintop, you primarily want it if you wanted those for PvE because they are excellent PvE guns. They're top of the meta PvE guns. You had to play a ton of PvP to get them, and a lot of people just don't like PvP. Like, and that's fine. So it just seemed wrong that you were forcing people to play a ton of PvP, some of the most, like, the hardest PvP too, because you had to go into the comp playlist to get it. Like, to me, that it just, the reward, it was so weird in that way that you were making people do stuff they just didn't want to do.
Well, a lot of people felt that this year with like Mountaintop was such
Especially Mountaintop.
Yeah, Mountaintop and Recluse were such forces in PvE that it was like, I mean, it was Galahorn level of like, well, if you don't have Mountaintop or in Recluse, like, you're not really going to be as effective in this raid team. So,
right.
Yeah. It's a tough call, honestly, because like PvP should have rewards and things that are interesting to chase after. But
yeah,
I've always felt like interesting cosmetics were the best versions of those things.
That's what I was gonna say, Tefty. I was gonna say that, like, they're taking away this pinnacle weapon, but I would really hope that maybe it's not coming with ShadowKeep, but in the future that they're gonna add things to chase for doing comp, especially as they're introducing the solo comp playlists now, which a lot of people were very excited about. Even people who weren't super into playing comp were excited for that because they felt like they could have a chance to actually enjoy comp. So I would like to see them put stuff for you to chase from getting a high ranking comp, especially with that addition. So hopefully they do that.
I will say the other side to this, though, is what I'm really scared about the ShadowKeep expansion in general is that they are nerfing like supers. They're nerfing a lot of the highest power weapons. We see that they're nerfing a lot of the highest power perks. Like, are they going too far? Are we going to get back to a year one Destiny where everything just feels super bland? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, that's a tough one, honestly. We'll have to see how it ends up. Because like
it's an understandable concern.
Because the next part of this, it says reduced effectiveness for the following perks in PvE. Wait, actually, hold on. Did they say? Rampage, kill, clip, swashbuckler, multi-clip, kill, desperado, surrounded, master
Lethal
of arms.
perks.
Yeah, the pinnacle perks.
All the lethality ones.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In general, these perks use the same damage multipliers for PvE that they did in PvP. The change to Rampage does not affect the Huckleberry. Onslaught and Desperado now change bullet impact values while active in PvE. So, yeah, these are getting adjusted pretty... Seems like they're going to get...
Right. They're saying legendary weapons have become too powerful overall.
Yeah.
In many cases, they outclass exotic primary weapon. So, like, this is another thing. Like, we're pulling back on supers. You're not going to have supers as much. Legendary weapons aren't going to be as powerful as they previously were to make like a bigger distinction between exotics and legendaries. My concern is that everything is just going to feel samey and bland.
When I look at it, to me, it kind of looks like they're wanting to put some more power into exotic weapons, because it's got to the point, if you look at PvE, no one used a single exotic weapon. It was Swarm of the Raven, Mountaintop, Recluse. It got, and even in PvP, you can put on Warcliffe Coil or whatever, but you don't need any of these exotic weapons because they're just not as good as the legendary weapons that you could get. Even Swarm of the Raven, which isn't a pinnacle weapon, it's just got spike nades.
Mm-hmm.
I think that them trying to put some more power into exotics I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's interesting when you have to choose which exotic you want to use.
I think ultimately that makes you have to make more decisions with your loadout.
Yeah.
So I like that.
I agree.
Yeah, this is one of these.
Are they putting more power into exotics though, or are they just pulling back on power?
Well, we don't have the full patch notes yet, and they're going to give that obviously Monday. And like, I think this is one of these things where you just don't know until you actually jump into the sandbox and see how everything feels. Because like across the board, things are getting changed from damage multipliers,
big changes.
Like, from
the reason I said it was just because it said the change to Rampage does not affect the Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, well, there you have an exotic gun right there that's still going to take advantage of basically old Rampage.
Yeah.
So like in that situation, exotics are getting more powerful because legendaries are getting nerfed. Well, they're not necessarily getting more powerful, but they'll be higher up in the
there'll be better choices as opposed to
there'll be better choices
pure legendary choices.
Yeah.
Like that should be the case, where if you're putting yourself at a disadvantage if you don't choose to have an exotic equipped, right? Like, shouldn't that technically be how end game Destiny is formulated, where you want the best exotic for your loadout, as opposed to just Mountaintop, Recluse, and Swarm of the Raven?
Yeah.
Yep. Moving back quickly to the pinnacle weapons, I think something that I would have advocated for, and this is, I guess, something that I said even around the time where, like Watts said, like, Not Forgotten and Luna's Howl, like talking about getting nerfed. I would even more advocate for things to get the Redrix's treatment, where it's like remove the skill requirement, or like make it like very tangibly possible to get to that skill requirement. Like if 2100 is the basis, like just like I think they announced in one of the recent TWABs that I'm not sure. I don't remember specifically, but again, if they made it easier to get to 2100, if that's the benchmark, if it lifted you there, I know the past few updates have done that, and made it more of a time commitment rather than a skill requirement, I think that would have been a little bit healthier, and I would have been I would have been perfectly fine with that. Like, I don't need to, I don't know if you think of me as like a good player or whatnot, I don't need to like sit on my throne of like, oh yeah, just have great weapons and you can't get them. Like I don't care. Like
skill locked loadout, where it's like
skill locked level up weapons that are gonna make me like perform better because I actually just have a better weapon than you at this point. I'd be fine with it. Just give it to everyone. Just like make it
maybe like
a time commitment.
It's locked to the people who could get it for a season, maybe even 2 seasons, and then on the 3rd season it's much more attainable, like super easy to get.
Well,
I mean, honestly, again, to me, like, I fully don't care if they were to just like make it just a grind or a time commitment for these weapons, and it's a deterministic reward still. It's a unique gun, rather than like a quote unquote skill requirement, if you want to call that the rank requirement. Because when you're farming for spare rations, which right now is like a very, very good legendary hand cannon. It's a time grind. It's a time investment into the Reckoning.
Mhm.
And then you know, if you're lucky enough to get one that you like or you think is a good roll, you're good. So I wouldn't mind, like, you know, if it makes it less stressful for people and allows these weapons to still have a place, these unique weapons. If it was just a time commitment, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be okay. I mean, I totally understand why they can't keep making these pinnacle weapons like such unique, powerful perks. But even on the past ones, I wouldn't mind if they just became a time requirement.
And also the original intent back when this first happened with Luna's Howl and Not Forgotten was they needed a reason for people to play comp because comp was comp was essentially dead at that point, and they needed something to stoke it. So they started going down this pinnacle path, and then we are at the point where it's only pinnacles essentially in your loadout, and that is a problem. You know, that my main concern is that, just like Briar, you're saying, is it going to feel samey with all the legendaries being focused around damage? And that's been happening for a long time in Destiny. And I don't know if that's even a thing that they can truly fix in Destiny 2 without massive sandbox changes. You know?
It's, at least from what they said that legendary damage perks have become so powerful they simply invalidate non-damage related perks.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So at least it seems that Bungie knows that, and they don't want that to be the case, that the thing you automatically go for is the Rampage, the Kill Kip, the Swashbuckler. So at least we know just from that statement that they're aware that that's not a good thing. So I'm hoping that this might not fix it. Like you said, Tufty, we might need like a really big shake-up of stuff. But I think they will want to eventually reach that point where there's a bunch of perks that you want to pick just because that's how you like to play, and that's the role you're playing.
Yeah, I like perks that make me reload faster because I don't like waiting for reloads. Like, guns always feel better for me when I reload. But if I have to choose between a reload perk and a kill clip, you know, you kind of got to go with kill clip.
The kill clip.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They did show off a couple of the new weapons. Vanguard, the ritual weapons. The Vanguard Edgewise machine gun.
And real quick, they had misstated 2 pinnacle weapons, and there is a Vanguard one. There is, and it's called Ritual now instead of Pinnacle. So
the Edgewise is a machine gun. It looks familiar. What does it look like? It looks like the
looks like the Gambit Pinnacle.
Yeah, it does a little bit, doesn't it?
Just its shape. Reminds me of that.
I think the top has been reconed.
Has it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crucible's got is it a scout rifle? Randy's
like
throwing knife.
rifle.
I just like the name of it.
Randy's throwing knife.
What is the lore behind that?
Yeah, I would definitely want to read the lore.
Is that Randall the Vandal's nickname?
I think so, right?
Yeah.
Randy.
He's a throwing knife, implying he's a hunter.
I like to see a scout though.
Yeah.
Excited for that.
Exactly.
Yeah, whatever. It's a coward's weapon. Gambit gets exit
scouts
strategy.
Scouts getting bumped.
Yeah.
Bumped up, yeah.
And then they had a little section for set it straight. A couple of things that they just wanted to clear up or they made mistakes on. They say that there was a shot of the Trials of the 9 armor in the launch trailer by mistake. It's not coming. Don't get excited. Not Trials of the 9
Don't get excited.
Armor. Yeah.
Terrible mistake to make, seeing as Trials is dearly missed. Like, Trials armor.
It's a bad mistake.
I am glad that they said it. They said, hey, it's not coming.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
They revised their gameplay calendar for Season of the Undying. The menu of action is the same, but we are adjusting the timing of the nightmare hunts. The new schedule looks like this. So I'm not actually sure what the changes are in here. But if you want to see the new calendar for ShadowKeep of Season of the Undying,
sure, I'll map it out real
TWAB.
quick. So again, raid launch the 5th. 8th, we have Nightmare Hunts, Hero Nightmare Hunts. The 15th, we have Legend Nightmare Hunts and Iron Banner. And then the 22nd, we have an Exotic Quest, Leviathan's Breath, and also Master Nightmare Hunts. So you got these Hero Nightmare Hunts and then Master Nightmare Hunts, kind of like spread apart a few weeks. And then we have Festival of the Lost event on the 29th of October, and that's going to last about 3 weeks, looking like that. And then the dungeon launches on the 29th as well. So Festival of Lost plus the dungeon.
I'm hyped. There's another dungeon coming.
Very hyped for that. And it's also a new PvP mode, Momentum Control, is going to be launching on the 29th as well. And Exotic Quest, Xenophage is going to be launching as well on the 29th.
29th is a big day.
Packed.
Holy moly.
Yeah, right.
That's a lot.
My thought is that
Wow.
Xenophage is going to be connected to the dungeon. This could be completely incorrect, but I feel like
Could be, yeah.
in the past they had, it's usually there's an exotic connected. So I'd be surprised if there was an exotic, and if it is, Xenophage seems like it would be. And then 1 month after the raid launches, November 5th, first raid challenge. So we are getting raid challenges, multiple apparently, and the first one is going to be on November 5th. And then Vex Offensive Final Assault on the 19th of November. So I don't fully know what the offensive stuff is, Vex Offensive. So it begins on the 5th of October with the raid launch. And then the Final Assault Vex Offensive is the 19th. Do we know exactly what this is? Have they stated, or is it still just a mystery?
Kind of just a mystery. We know that we're going to be killing Vex. That's about it. That's about all.
Is it going to be something like the 3-week cycle on the Dreaming City?
It could be.
Like more and more Vex show up at the moon until the final assault?
Yeah,
right?
That'd be cool. I would like that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm excited there's a Vex raid. Legit Vex raid. I've been waiting.
I still want a legit Fallen raid, though.
Yeah,
we've had a few.
Like not a Siva raid. Well, I guess. Yeah, I guess the one in what's it called? Anarchy.
Yeah, the Anarchy one.
Raid.
Yeah.
The Anarchy raid. That was technically a I don't know. I want a raid for Fallen that just kind of really speaks to their pirate kind of ways. Yeah, like I want armor that makes me look like a pirate, and I don't want
like a modified Fallen.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like I've gotten twice. Is I've gotten like kind of these like kind of strange Fallen. I want like a basic bitch Fallen raid.
Yeah, I feel you.
I want to fight a Fallen boss, not like a tank boss. I want to fight like a badass Fallen.
Yeah,
who's been traveling the galaxy as a pirate and taking over.
That sounds amazing.
I want to fight that guy.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be an amazing season of
Randy.
Fallen pirate shenanigans.
yeah. That would love that. That would be awesome.
Shanty.
This is actually kind of cool. They're selling a pin, or they were selling a pin in the Bungie store. It's the Bungie Pride pin. If you bought that pin previously, there's now an emblem in game and like kind of like the accoutrements in game that go along with it. I did not get the pin, and it says restocking soon. You can go to the Bungie store and click email when available to still get the pin because it's dope and the emblems are dope.
The emblem is really cool.
Yeah, so I need that very badly.
That is really cool.
And then they have a really nice write-up by Nigel who talks about being gay and his experience in gaming. And it was actually pretty heartwarming, and it's worth a read.
It is. It really is.
Yep.
Anything else we want to talk about?
The raid jacket prior. Yes.
That was pretty nice.
It's pretty freaking sweet.
Raid jacket looks nice.
It's pretty sweet.
Let's see. Last week, they showed off a preview of the world's first belt and some of the emblems you can earn in our upcoming Pinnacle PvE activity. We weren't quite ready to show off the awesome jacket Bungie rewards will be offering, but the design is ready for the runaway. And if, let's see, any player who beats the Garden of Salvation raid and claims their code before the weekly reset on 10/15, October 15th, will be eligible to purchase the raid jacket through Bungie rewards. This is usually like, what, a couple $100, something like that? $200-300 for raid jacket.
There's also a raid t-shirt.
I don't know. I've never bought one.
Because yeah, the jackets are really well made. They're pretty expensive jackets. They're really nice, but they are on the more expensive side. But so they did also say that we know that many of you don't enjoy rushing through content. So even if you aren't ready to take on the raid before 10/15, any player who completes Garden of Salvation during Season of Undying will be able to get a t-shirt. And the t-shirt has a big question mark on it because they said the shirt has some spoilers on it. Ooh. So after the raid is completed, they will be showing off what the t-shirt is.
They should just come out and put out a redacted t-shirt.
Right.
It should just be a Bungie t-shirt that's just redacted across it.
Yeah, exactly.
That would actually be hilarious. I'd buy that.
The 15th is really interesting. So the raid comes out on the 5th. That means you have a week and a half.
That's good.
to do the raid. Before, it's like you do the raid by, wasn't it by reset? Yeah. So that's, you have a whole
But I
nother
guess
week.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, to get the
That's
raid
good.
jacket. So if anybody was trying to rush through the content to make sure that they can do the raid with, actually, I guess contest modifiers would be off by then too, right?
Yeah, contest lasts for 24 hours, doesn't it?
Yep, it lasts. Yeah, yep.
Yeah. So if you,
is there a reward for getting it done during contest?
I mean, world's first emblem, right?
I know there was I think there's the 24-hour emblem, which they normally do. Yeah.
In-game emblem. Yep.
Yeah.
The you got good, show it off, strut it in the tower emblem.
Yeah. And then never use it. Yeah, that's
pretty much
Yeah,
it.
I'm like,
I don't even know which one it is.
Oh my god, I need the emblem so bad, and then I never use it because I got like a super cool rainbow emblem from getting it.
Yeah, I know I want the pride emblem. That's all.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different. You got a week and a half to get that jacket if you're interested in it. It gives you a little bit more time to play the content.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Cool.
The only other thing from here is just going over how this release is going to go, talking about the 24-hour maintenance, which is going to start at 10 a.m. on Monday, and it's going to last approximately 24 hours. So it's going to start at 10 a.m. Monday, and then it's going to be ending with the launch of ShadowKeep.
That is a big boy downtime.
It's a big boy downtime. Yeah,
and everything.
that's crazy.
Man. Yeah. Definitely check your local time zones. It's 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1700 UTC. So do the appropriate math.
Use Google. Type in your time zone, PDT. You got it. Easy peasy.
Is it? I mess it up all the time. Like, is that 7 a.m. for me?
I usually Google it if I'm curious about
7 a.m.
Yeah.
No, that's 12 p.m.
12 p.m.
You're 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh,
You're not behind.
No,
us.
it's
You're
1
ahead of us.
p.m. Yeah, it's 1 p.m.
Oh, it's 1 p.m.
10
Close
a.m. our
Perfect.
time is
Nice.
1 p.m. your time. Yeah.
Nice late morning. I'll go out, get a nice breakfast, come back, and get deep into ShadowKeep. I love it.
Yep.
That's great.
Wait in a queue for 2 hours. By 3
God,
p.m.,
really
I'll actually
hope
be
not.
playing.
I really hope there's not a huge queue.
But we'll see.
The only other stuff, preloading. All PC players can preload Destiny 2 on Steam right now. All play. It doesn't matter if you've got ShadowKeep or not. You can preload it, which includes preloading for New Light and ShadowKeep. So if anyone was confused of like, oh, this is just, I'm just getting Destiny through Steam, it does include New Light and ShadowKeep in there. And they said, since New Light makes Destiny 2 accessible to everyone for free, no purchase is necessary to preload.
Nice.
So that's cool.
That's going to be very exciting for a lot of people who haven't tried it out yet.
Absolutely. And then it said existing console players will be able to preload during the maintenance leading up to launch. So if console players wanted to know when you can preload, you will be able to preload. Do not worry. Do not worry about that.
This is like the last week, obviously, to get your migration to happen. So if you haven't done the things for that, if you're on Blizzard still, you haven't migrated your account and set up crossplay and all those things, get it done.
That done.
Do it.
Done.
Get it done by Sunday.
Do it.
Put like a little thing, get that stuff all taken care of so you're not going to have any kind of
It's
issues.
2 separate things you got to do too, right? Is link your Steam account with your existing Bungie.net and enable cross save.
Yeah, enable cross save and make your
And there's links in the TWAB for both of those.
And you want to make sure you choose your main account. So if you're on PC,
it's super easy to do, but just read the directions carefully while you're doing it.
Exactly.
Don't fuck that up.
Yep.
The final thing I want to touch on is there's something called the Premonition Legendary Pulse Rifle. They said following the launch of ShadowKeep next week, players will be able to view new items added to Destiny 2 using the in-game collections. Before then, we'd like to make players aware of a known issue with one particular weapon listing. Following the launch of ShadowKeep, the collection listing for the Premonition Legendary Pulse Rifle will state that it is found by exploring the moon. This weapon's specific source is actually the new dungeon.
Okay.
So you don't go farming the moon trying to get the pulse rifle because it will not work. Can't do that.
Guaranteed somebody's going to be like doing that.
It's good to know.
They're going to somebody's going to have some sort of issue with it. Discord is having a hiccup.
Discord's taking a dump.
I was a little worried there for a second.
Everything's fine.
I think that's all the main points in the TWAB. I mean, I would highly recommend checking it out for yourself if you're curious about some details. because it's a big TWAB. There's a lot of details.
It is.
We could have made some mistakes as well. It happens. No, that would be the first time ever if we ever made a mistake on DCP. Literally the first time, exclusively. So yeah, a lot of details, and I'm insanely excited for ShadowKeep. Like, this is looking so good, especially with the artifact and the progression grind and being able to over level. This is the first time that's happening. Supposedly these thousands of builds. I'm very interested in Armor 2.0 and how
it's crazy.
Yep.
It's really crazy. It's they said it's what Rise of Iron kind of size DLC, but the changes that they're doing to the core of Destiny is going to make it feel like a refreshing new experience. So it's really exciting. I'm so excited to jump in. I can't.
I'm
wait.
really looking forward to that because like I haven't been playing Destiny for basically September. I've been playing a lot of Borderlands. Been playing, first Monster Hunter World, then Borderlands and all that. And it's been fantastic. But I'm also extremely excited to get in and see Destiny changed, like the fundamentals changed, and I'm hoping it's significant.
Yeah, I think that it's like almost difficult to comprehend everything that's changing. Like we see it all on a list here, and it's like we can kind of predict like whether we like the changes or not. But to me, at least, like there are so many things changing that it's kind of difficult to like take everything in and like realize how different it's going to be. And how almost overwhelming it is without actually like playing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Oh, I did want to mention when George McBay in chat reminded me, during the launch trailer, we actually saw a map that looked very much like First Light on the Moon, the Crucible map.
Mm-hmm.
And the header of the TWAB looks like First Light to me. So in my opinion, I would say that I think First Light, Widow's Court, and Twilight Gap are coming back.
Isn't First Light a big map?
It's a
huge
big map.
Yep.
It's a big team map, the vehicle map.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there's no vehicles in Destiny 2 PvP.
Also, Destiny maps are so small.
The rise of the pinnacle, what they call it, they don't call it pinnacle anymore. The other thing, the non-pinnacle, the ritual, the ritual, the non-pinnacle pinnacle scout rifle. It's a scout rifle for PvP.
Scout rifle, that's a throwing knife.
Yes.
There you go.
That would be amazing. Imagine if not throwing knives. Oh, that'd be so cool.
There is clarity as to why First Light,
Apparently
but
it's a mission.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to spoil that for people. I guess whatever. If you play Destiny 1, then Yeah, it's exciting to see the stuff. I'm curious what the nightmares are going to be like. Is it going to be the similar thing with like Taken modified, or is it going to have a lot of new abilities and perks and things that they do in combat? I hope there's no Taken Captain variety of nightmare because those things are so annoying.
You're going to be fighting Hive, and there's just going to be a single Taken Captain appear.
Oh my god!
I hope that the combat feels different when I'm shooting these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm hoping that there's a difference in fighting these guys compared to fighting other, Destiny characters that have been around for 5 years.
Yeah.
Maybe that's too much to hope for.
I don't know. It's tough to say, really. I mean, again, just like Drewsky, you were saying, like there's so many changes that are coming into this expansion, this DLC, that like it's tough to fully comprehend how much is changing. It's not just some new area that's being added with some guns and a raid and a dungeon. It's like there's a lot of fundamentals that are getting completely changed in the game. And it's going to feel like a different game. And also the new light thing is going to inject a massive amount of new players. Like, there's not just going to be, I'm going to finally try out Destiny a little bit here and there. Like, there's going to be a ton of people who are like, it's free? Well, I'll definitely try it now. I've been on the fence. I see so many people spending so much time in Destiny. Now I'm going to give it a shot and see if I really like it or not. And that's going to be huge for the game and the ecosystem and the number of people that are interested in discovering things about it.
Also, it's free and it runs on a potato.
Yeah.
It's
very well optimized.
It's not hard to run.
Nope.
A potato, aka PS4 OG.
It's cool because you're gonna be able to get your friends in. It sounds so cheesy, but I think that it's really cool being able to just be like, when you have a game that you really enjoy, and it's just like, hey, just come play it because it's free. Just download it, and we'll get going. And then if they really like it, and like I've met as we all have here, like probably met a lot of really good friends through playing Destiny. No.
Mediocre, I'd say.
Yeah.
Acquaintances, maybe.
Small acquaintances. I think that it's really cool, what this game does for friendships, stuff like that. So I know I'm cheesy, but I love it.
Absolutely.
It is amazing.
Like,
it's an amazing community.
Yeah, it's incredible. I really like that New Light is going to allow people to play strikes together and not have to be locked off on content in PvP and Gambit. It's like you'll be able to, or patrols. You'll be able to go in and do the patrols with people so long as they're not doing like raid / main mission or dungeon type of content. Like if they don't own that content, they won't be able to play it. But if they just want to play strikes with you without owning the game, they totally can, and they're going to be level 750 right off the bat. So you're not going to have to be like, let's get you to 750 from 0. They're going to start out as.
I think it's really exciting.
That's a nightmarish climb.
As a PvP player, like PvP, it's just like all it takes really. You want to go for your weapons that are more viable, of course, but like that's the whole thing. It's like free to play PvP is just like you jump into PvP.
Yeah,
there's nothing really much else to it. And I think that's really exciting for players. Like it's going to hopefully bring quite an influx of players, of course, into PvP and just being able to experience just Destiny PvP.
Yeah.
The whole thing
I
as it is.
So. Especially with it being on Steam. That's a whole player base that, they might not have had. Well, they haven't been directly exposed to Destiny. It's going to be showing up on people's recommended lists. It's going to be all over the place. So I think especially with it moving from Battle.net to Steam, I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah. Also, just to throw this out on PC, since you can basically just make a brand new account and jump into PvP right away, you might want to consider getting a VPN. Just saying.
Good point.
NordVPN, something just
in case.
You might want to throw it into your rotation to load up the VPN when you play PvP, since now it's going to be really easy to jump into matches regardless of any kind of financial barrier. So just throwing that out there. All right.
Yep. And I see some people, in chat talking about the cheat protection. I hope that's good. I do hope that's good.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, Steam's obviously much different than Battle.net. Battle.net has a pretty strict, like, anti-cheating stuff. And it all depends on how much information, I think we talked about it before, how much information Steam shares with Bungie compared to how much Battle.net shared with Bungie. Because if Steam still shares the IP address, the router, like all that kind of stuff,
it's gonna still share.
They can ban people.
Peer to peer.
No, but Steam can. Things work a little bit differently based on which launcher you're using. If there's one company that's just like, we don't let you get any of that information. We're not going to tell you the router that they're using. Bungie can't ban them. They can ban the account, but they can't ban that person's router, that person's IP, or any of that, because Steam wouldn't give them that info. I don't know if that's how Steam operates,
or
but
MAC address type of stuff.
Yeah.
More so with just Bungie actually permanently banning people to where if they load up the game on a new computer,
about Bungie getting access to that, because we're still gonna have it. Like if I play
because we were talking about
gonna have access to your PvP.
So if you find a cheater, like if I'm going against a cheater, it's like, all right, I want Bungie to be able to ban that person who's doing auto aim or wall hacks or whatever it is. I want Bungie to be able to ban them, which is their job is made more difficult if you don't share like all the information about that player, what they're using, their computer, their IP, their modem, their router,
I feel like
we know Steam collects that information for sure.
Yeah, I feel like their MAC address would be available to them, so they could ban hardware.
I mean, it's available to me when I play you, so it's got to be available to Bungie.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Like it's got to be.
Yeah.
You guys want to do some Twitter questions?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Sure. Doughboy says, should Bungie wipe all bounties people have saved up or auto turn them in during the maintenance?
We talked about that on this, right? Did you mention that? They had a thing about bounties.
Yeah, some of them are get auto turned in, but other ones aren't. I don't really understand why people get so upset about this. Like everybody's got the same opportunity to save up bounties to kind of get a head start for a DLC. Why do people get so upset when other people do it?
Because if you're not doing the thing that could give you an edge, then it's perceived as you're,
But everybody has the same opportunity to do it. I mean, one time I think we described it as some people like work out and get fit before they run a marathon. Like if you want to be ready for an athletic event, you work out. Like why wouldn't you do the same for a gaming event? Is you prepare and get ready.
more of because.
But at the same time, it feels, for me at least, so it feels more like a chore than it does like refining my skills or strength or stamina. It feels like, to me at least, like it's more like a chore, or like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this when I actually want to do something else in the game.
Okay.
I think
I
Bungie.
don't understand why people get upset about it.
I think Bungie's done like without deleting all bounties that you've ever accumulated before ShadowKeep comes out. I think they're doing a decent job of making sure that it doesn't give you a huge bonus. You'll be able to level up your artifact maybe a little bit, get some levels, but it's not going to affect your gear dropping. So I don't know. I think it'll be a minimal advantage to do
Yeah,
that.
it certainly doesn't sound like any previous preps for like DLCs or raids. Like, I feel like those previous seasons or raids have definitely felt like it was much more of a requirement or advantageous if you're planning to do a day one raid than it is now.
I feel like contest has helped with that tremendously.
Yeah,
I
content
think so
is
too.
great.
Dan is alive says, can I safely delete Battle.net Destiny 2 files from my PC since it's reinstalled from Steam? Well, not till fucking Monday. Wait till Monday. What are you doing?
If you want to keep playing Destiny, no. If you're like, you know what, I'm gonna just like play Borderlands or Monster or whatever you want to play until ShadowKeep comes out, then sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but come Monday, you're good to go. Just delete it.
Just make sure all your
yeah.
Ever stuff is deleted.
reinstall on Steam. That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I
Get
need
that
to
bright
do
dust.
Whew,
Don't forget.
gotta get that bright dust.
Michael Cameron says, today about 77 creators posted vids on ShadowKeep's first mission. How are fanatics addicted to Destiny news expected to remain spoiler free? And does the practice feel slightly incestuous to anyone else?
Incestuous?
Avoid YouTube.
Yeah.
Just don't go on there. If you really need to, if you want to take like the next level, unsubscribe from people that generally post this kind of stuff before it comes out. Don't go on Twitter. Maybe even mute the people on Twitter while you're waiting. But it's
as long as people post like clearly that this is a spoiler, like I think it's fine. It's a fine practice. Like, go ahead, post whatever you want. Put this is a spoiler in the title. Put this is a spoiler on the thumbnail. Don't trick me into watching it, and don't put any spoiler images in your thumbnail or your title. Right? It's like, don't spoil the content in the title or in the thumbnail. That pisses me off because that's like unavoidable, and that will make me unsubscribe to you and bitch about you on Twitter personally. you personally.
If you really want to be safe, there's also like Chrome plugins and stuff like that that like will filter things. Like you can put in like keywords that you don't want to see, and it'll just put like spoiler tags over them. I did it with like before Endgame was coming out because there was like apparently a ton of leaks with that. So I'm like, I don't want to see it. So I installed these plugins, and it essentially like I put the keywords that I don't want to see, and it kind of just puts, you have to click it and then you risk seeing the spoiler. Like it puts like a little shield over it. So
yeah, I think the biggest thing is just like you said, Briar. Like if people just say what's in the video, and before they get into any of the stuff that is a spoiler, just giving a big heads up. Like if you're still here, you're fine with seeing this stuff.
Yeah,
right.
Then that's completely fine. It's companies are always going to do this. It's marketing. It's a much cheaper way of marketing than having to take out ads everywhere. And it's just another form of marketing. I don't think it's a bad practice, and I think that you can avoid it if you. I think you can avoid it. I've avoided it.
You just unfortunately you have to get in the habit
videos.
of avoiding YouTube and Twitter days before releases because of that stuff. If you're
Yeah,
really
you do.
going to be,
I think
upset
actually Twitter is more dangerous because
It is. Twitter's way
you're
more
like
dangerous.
halfway through reading a sentence and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. Or you scroll and there's just a picture of something and you're like, oh great, fantastic.
Yeah,
That's
Twitter's actually more dangerous than YouTube because I find that YouTubers used to be worse at this and they've gotten better at it. It's like they put the thumbnails, they're spoiler free with the thumbnails and the titles more. And if you do find somebody who isn't, just unsubscribe to them.
That's the thing. There's certain creators out there who are very aware that people don't want to just arrive upon spoilers.
Yeah.
And then there's others that really don't care, and they're going to put whatever they can to get clicks, and that's their thing. So if you don't want to see spoilers, just unsubscribe temporarily to the people that do that kind of thing, and you should be fine.
Yeah. As far as the question, does the practice feel slightly incestuous? It does, but you got to understand what everybody's trying to do here. Is Bungie's trying to market the game. YouTubers are trying to get YouTube views, and they've got exclusive content to do it. Like
incestuous?
You know, you don't like that word?
It's just, there's a lot of implications with that. And incestuous, that's like, I don't know.
It to me, it's you know, if, let's say, for instance, if I go out and I get an early chance to play Borderlands 3 in LA, and they fly me out there and they feed me like booze and give me a hotel while I'm out there
and pet your belly.
And I come back and I say I loved Borderlands 3. Is my opinion to be trusted? I'm definitely going to tell you that I got flown out there and they fed me a ton of beer. Like those are all different qualities that may have affected my feelings on Borderlands 3, right? So it's just know
that sounds like business,
where everybody's coming from.
That sounds like
it
business
is definitely
and
business.
The dealings of marketing and influencer relations, all that.
It is.
It is. It doesn't have to be. If I was trying to be completely pure, then I would say no. You can't. You cannot pay for my hotel. You cannot pay for my airline. I will come out and play it, and then I feel like that gives me a pure version of my relationship with this game.
Right. Well,
right.
Bungie isn't your sister that you're having sexual relations with.
Okay. I got it. You're hung up on
Are
that. Are
you sure?
I think it is an important topic to talk about and to realize who is talking to you and what is their motivation. Like I think that's very important because a lot of YouTubers do act as a secondary arm of press of marketing for companies,
totally. But that's
even us tonight as we read the TWAB for Bungie, we're acting as marketing for Bungie in a lot of ways, right?
True. God damn it, I didn't get paid for this.
Damn
it. Messed up.
What's next here? Nerm says, what kind of rewards would you add for high comp so people would go beyond 2100 every season? Cosmetics, the current and old Pinnacle weapons with random perks like broadsword or something else. Cosmetics, I think, is a good idea.
I love cosmetics. Because then you can just show off. You're like, damn, that person looks way cooler than me. How do they look so cool?
Cosmetics enough? Like, I'm not even saying
for me personally, it is
enough, but for people,
I don't like having the best guns in the game hidden behind comp because I hated playing comp. Like I hated the game modes that were in there. I didn't like going up against four stacks all the time if I was going in solo queuing. I thought that was just a bad way to get some of the best guns in the game. It was really frustrating.
I think what they need to do. Yeah, go for it, Drew.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say an interesting thing of again those Pinnacle weapons is that sure it's not exactly the greatest that some of the best guns in the game are locked behind this, but it did get people to play. It did.
Yeah, but are they the people that you want playing comp? Do you want me in there just being pissed off about playing comp while I'm playing comp? Do you want me to play Destiny and not enjoy my time playing Destiny? Because that's what's happening while I'm grinding for the mountaintop.
I think it's interesting. I think that it's you don't want that, but at the same time you want some people to take a dive forward and see if maybe they do enjoy it, and maybe they otherwise wouldn't have. But I guess the really weird space where we find ourselves with comp is what is the appropriate reward or thing that is not overly impactful but still makes people want to take that dive or go that extra mile on the playlist.
It's really interesting because I think I think a lot of competitive players will just play comp because they enjoy comp.
Yep.
And then I think for a lot of players outside of that who may be doing PvE or whatever it is, I think that they tend to like the whole cosmetic thing and fashion a little bit more. Like that's kind of more of a chase for them.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if they did see, one of you guys looking super cool with a specific shader or a title or anything like that, they would want to go and get that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think
It depends. It's different for
enough.
everyone, right? It's
Yeah.
different for everyone. For me, I love having something that's an exclusive looking thing that makes me look cooler than the next person. But for some people, they're like, I don't care. I haven't changed my armor in 5 years.
Yeah.
so. I definitely think that a cosmetic set of rewards every season for comp, for high level comp and all that, would go a long ways. And I get that not everybody wants to play comp for just cosmetics. And I also think that the game is hurt when people are going for high level comp for weapons that make them better, both at PvE and PvP. I don't think it creates a healthy ecosystem. Again, they literally just got done saying that they had to change this because it creates problems with the game. So, what that stuff is, I don't know exactly, but it needs to stand out. It can't just be some ugly shader. If it's an ugly shader, people are gonna be like, why would I go 5,500 for the turd shader? It's not gonna happen.
You know what I would actually love?
Hold on one second. If they had
Okay,
had things that like you could change the way you look in game, that is somewhat drastic. Like if your emblem had a border around it that had a certain shine that you couldn't get from other emblems, that could potentially do it. If you could make some sort of like crazy outline thing happen from an emote or something, like it needs to stand out in a way that's more than just, hey, that looks like a reskin from an ornament from a previous season. It needs to stand out in some way. And then people will be like, yo, I got to climb to get that. And then it's not going to affect other people's gameplay. It's okay.
Yep.
It's just cosmetic.
Yeah. I think also what I would love to see that I think would help is instead of having you get to this point and you get this thing, if you had things all the way up, so at 500 points, you get a thing. At 1,000, you get a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it could even be ornaments for specific specific pieces of armor. So you get the one for your chest at this level, one for the helmet at this level. That way, if someone sees something cool, they're like, oh, I just have to go play maybe like 2 games and I can get that. And then they get that thing and then maybe that entices them to keep playing a little bit more because it's not just get to one rank and you get the stuff. You can actually unlock things as you go. I think that's always a nice way to keep people going is being able to get stuff reasonably, even if you're not the greatest player, even if you're really, really bad, you could probably get the first thing on that level, if not more than that.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I think that I'd like, maybe just a series of different cosmetic rewards. I was going to say, like you said, Watts, along the way would be really cool. I mean, I'm aware that all of these take work, etc. But I think that if there was a kind of like almost paved path for each like rank, maybe not sub rank, obviously, but for each rank where there's a different type of cosmetic reward, whatever those might be, that could be really cool. And I think that'd be ideal. In addition to, of course, the ritual weapons that we maybe have. We still don't know what the quest is like for these. It's obviously going to be less intensive, but I'm going to assume maybe there's going to be a little bit of the ranked playlist involved.
I do want to point out that like titles are essentially kind of what I'm talking about, but there's so few and so wide in between of actually getting the title that's the issue. And just like you guys are talking about, you need stepped rewards that will show that you reached, say, 3,500 in comp, and you're showing off a visual perk, like getting the flaming skull in Halo Reach, like the things like that made people want to reach those levels. And I think they totally could do that for comp and it would be successful.
Yeah. Guild Wars did a thing in PvP that was really cool in that you got a title and that title leveled up. So at this one rank, you're, say, gladiator, and then the next rank, you're some other type of gladiator. So you can see that how well someone has been doing based on the level of their title, but the actual entry into getting the first title is not that difficult. Because currently, the one for PvP, if you like PvP, the only title you have is Unbroken. And not everyone wants to go to Legend for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And the average player is not going to want to go and get that.
And they should have them based on classes too. Like, let's say
That'd be amazing.
Let's say you hit 3,500 as a hunter or whatever. Like those things would go a long way for people to feel like they're filling those things out in a cosmetic sense. And again, I know a lot of people just want rewards specifically, but if the game is full of people that just want to get that pinnacle weapon and then get out of it, then the ecosystem isn't healthy. They need something else in there.
Yep.
The game mode isn't good if that's the result.
Yeah, that too.
Lowell Young says, do you guys think we'll ever get a true vendor refresh? I haven't seen anything about it with ShadowKeep.
Sounds like that's a big job, and they would rather make new things for new content.
Yeah.
We're getting a lot of new stuff. I'm happy with what we're getting. If that means like no vendor refresh, I'll take it. That's fine by me.
Yeah.
That's the way I think about it.
I'm 50-50 about it because I feel like it makes the game stale for other parts. But I feel like the level grind is going to change on this. So I might have a different feeling about this once I see the end of the climb with ShadowKeep.
True.
If I had to choose between the two, I would definitely rather have new world drops than new vendor drops.
That's how I feel, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a false premise to get started with, but
Yeah.
Bender7 says, I remember you guys in previous years said you loved the 1 week meta pre-release of an expansion. Are you sad this week? Do you think the 1 week meta will ever return?
I don't know.
It seems like their development schedule has changed in a way that that's just not how they do it anymore.
Yeah.
It was
What
fun.
does it mean by 1 week meta?
In Destiny 1, I think they did this for almost all the expansions, is what they would do is they'd make the sandbox change a week before the new DLC came out. So you got what you had was all the old weapons, but a brand new meta, and it only lasted a week before you got all the new weapons in that meta.
Yeah, so like when Forsaken changed, the weapon slots changed first, and then we had the TTK changes along with that, and then a week later, Forsaken came out.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie, that's like I think one of my favorite times in Destiny 2. I do kind of miss that.
Yeah, it's a cool time.
Yeah.
I really like that time.
It would have been nice to experience the change in all these weapons before ShadowKeep dropped. Right? Like 1 week before, it would have been very different Destiny.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately though, it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, yeah, it's whatever. I miss it though. I miss it a little bit. Like I said, I think like the transition to Forsaken, I think was like one of my favorite weeks playing the game because when you look back to it, it's like we had so much like the vanilla weapons played in such a different way. I think, and there wasn't so much of the power creep that came with Forsaken in many ways. And in some cases those are fun in good ways. In other cases, like, I enjoyed the year one sandbox and how it was like behaved so differently in that 1 week. So I miss it a little bit.
Hero Time 39 says, will you be joining the latest Destiny craze and swapping your voice over to Japanese? Basically, it turns Destiny into an anime. If so, would you consider yourself a weeb?
I did that last night.
Yeah, I've done this. Garrett the Great in infamous Gary Diaz taught us this for the Division, and it's hilarious because people are, I don't know, something about the Japanese voice actors are so much more enthusiastic about everything.
Passionate.
Passionate. It is hilarious. If you haven't tried this, do it. It doesn't matter what game you do it on. The intonation of everybody's voice is hilarious.
It's great. The Ghost is awesome. I think a lot of people would love to have just the Ghost in Japanese, and everyone else is the same, but the Ghost in Japanese. But I think what we've kind of got from all of this, so it started with I think it was a video on Twitter showing the Japanese voice for the Ghost. And I just want every game to have an option of me picking my audio and my subtitles separately. I want to be able to pick whatever I want with whatever I want.
Yeah.
That is what I desire. Like Code Vein, I'm playing it with Japanese and English subtitles. That's what I like. Perfect. I like having the option. I like having the freedom to pick whatever I want.
Yeah.
Nice.
Marcus Horace says, how would you feel if they got rid of ADS and went back to Halo-like gameplay?
No thanks.
No, thank you.
No thanks.
I think that's a completely different game. I don't even know if you can
Yeah.
make that comparison.
Yeah, they play very differently.
Yeah.
It's also just really weird to play a game in 2019 without ADS. Like,
Yeah, or a run button.
Yeah, no more running.
yeah, I mean,
No
Borderlands
more
3,
ADS.
like the hip fire predominantly is stronger most of the time for most of the weapons, but you still want to be able to ADS from time to time.
Yeah.
Yep.
For distance kills. Yeah.
I mean, I do love that classic dynamic. Like you look at games, I guess, like Halo and I guess Counter-Strike, even though I haven't played that much. And I do like those elements a lot, but I just think that like Destiny, like think of like, I don't think you could just go back to that. Like,
No.
I don't think you could just change the game. Like, there's a lot of systems and like the way the game feels and acts that are like reliant on ADS and hipfire being very different things.
Yeah.
So
And it's like so many audio cues. Like so many guns have different sounds when you ADS. Like just go in and ADS weapons, lots of different weapons. You'll hear different audio cues from the feeling of ADSing. It's part of that visceral feel of when you're shooting weapons in Destiny.
yeah, I think that like I love both dynamics. I love both styles of gameplay, the classic and I guess modern quote unquote. But I don't think you can just flip that switch for Destiny.
Yeah,
it's a very distinct feel because of ADS.
Dawn Killer 988 says, if you have one controller tip for console players coming to PC, what would it be?
Plug in your controller.
What do you think?
Don't forget to plug it in.
Yeah, that's it. Just plug it in.
I guess for me, I would say play to your strengths. I would say play to weapons that you feel good with, that you feel confident with, and you feel perform well on controller. All because certain weapons work well on mouse and keyboard, or even by others, doesn't mean they might be the best for you. It's what feels good to you and what caters to your playstyle. And then the other thing would be know your ranges. Ranges are very, very important, and be very disciplined to your ranges, because like sometimes when you watch some M&K players, they don't really rely so much on aim assist or right, because they it's a mouse, you can be so precise, it doesn't need aim assist or reticle friction to perform. So you can see them like really challenge some long ranges and maintain a lot of precision. If you try that on controller, it's like not going to work. So you need to be very disciplined with your ranges and know your weapon ranges.
I make the Recluse act like a freaking scout rifle sometimes.
Washer Gareth in chat actually brings up something I completely forgot about. On a lot of PC games, PC games in general, when you're playing FPS, the reticle is more centered in the middle. And for consoles, they tend to have them slightly lower. So if you're playing with a controller on PC, set your reticle height to be what it normally would be. So otherwise, you might find it's a bit weird.
I actually...
Do you think it should be lower, or do you think it should be centered?
I put it up to the middle watch because it was like, oh my God, finally, why has it always been down here?
It depends what you enjoy. Yeah, if you find it weird and you're like, something's off, try switching it and see if that feels better for you. But yeah, middle's great.
I actually think that like one thing that when I try and go back on console, other than like, of course, the obvious FPS and like FOV, like to me, even on the same level, something that completely messes me up is seeing the crosshairs lower. Like, I don't know, the way I am is like
I like staring at the ground all the time.
Yeah, I like to be like level with my monitor and just be like my eyes looking like at my crosshair. It's very odd, but that's like a huge difference to me. I love the centered crosshairs.
Naizu says, for those of you that use mouse and keyboard, what is your weirdest keybind? Got a weird keybind?
I think people found my keybinds pretty weird when I play games, because I center everything around WASD. So I don't have anything outside of WASD, which means I'll be pressing caps lock. So if I'm yelling at you, it's because caps is a button that I need to use for stuff. And yeah, so I don't go any further than probably number 3 and like F. Everything is just in one spot because I have small hands. I can't reach that far. So I use spacebar. Yeah, spacebar is easy to do. But yeah, I center everything around WASD because it's hard for me to reach other stuff.
I have tilde, which on PC is your change weapon button, on my scroll wheel. Like it's like button number 3 basically on a mouse. Like if I push in my scroll wheel, it changes weapons, and if I hold it in, it changes to the heavy weapon.
So the weirdest thing for me is I have scroll up as kinetic, scroll down as energy, and Q as my heavy. I think they start out with Q as your super, and I just found it's too easy to bump that, and you can't stand. I hate bumping a super. Jesus,
no, you don't waste a super.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
feels bad, man.
And initially, they first you couldn't do that before when the game first launched. You had to go into the ini to change it, but now you can actually scroll up to set that in the settings, which is nice.
That's good.
I find that really comfortable because, like, again, for me, I'm the same way. I don't want WASD to be taken away from anything critical, and switching weapons is critical. I don't want to like not be able to strafe and or switch weapons. Like, I don't want to have to choose that. I want to be able to switch between those two weapons and still strafe. And the heavy weapon is usually like you're not going to switch that all the time in the middle of combat. Yeah. So that's probably my weirdest thing.
Yeah, my super is scroll up on the mouse, and my special ability is scroll down on the mouse. Canner says, for PvP, are you planning on going full armor 2.0, sticking with 1.0, or a hybrid of both?
I'm going to be starting probably with my, I guess, older gear and then like move into hybrid. It really depends on how quickly I get things. Like, I've accumulated and saved up so many things with like ideal perks that I could probably still use my old stuff until I get adequate replacements, which I would obviously want to move towards Armor 2.0. But once I get like everything I want in Armor 2.0, I don't see any reason why I'd look back.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's like kind of like what Bungie said, right? They said that they don't expect people, the raids, like world's first raid teams, to be switching over to stuff because they think that the switch to Arma 2.0 is going to be a gradual thing that players are doing. Like, as you get the mods that you want and you find an armor piece that you want, then you'll switch it out. But I don't think people are just going to be like, burn it all, immediately equip everything that's new. So I think it'll be gradual for most of us, honestly.
Yep.
Cell SSX says, as a new disciple of the Church of Illuminated Frames, what are good starting settings for Destiny 2? Field of view, DPI, etc. This is really depending on your computer, your mouse, like your particular setup.
Except field of view.
Yep.
High field of view.
Yeah.
Turned up.
Well, if your computer can handle it.
Yeah, I guess
So
if you're sacrificing frames for field of view,
yeah,
you might want to.
So I noticed in chat a lot of people prefer 90 or around 90 for field of view, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I personally,
I think it stops the like fishbowl thing effect that can happen.
I played at 95 for 2 years. I only recently swapped to like 105 a few months ago.
Do you like 105?
So yeah, I don't know. I like 105 now, definitely.
Yeah.
I reduced my controller sensitivity though, going to 105. Before I used to play 95.9. Yeah, 95.9. Now I'm 105.8.
That makes sense actually, because you're technically seeing more circumference, in your spin. Right?
It feels faster.
Yeah.
I don't think it is actually, but it feels faster.
Right.
So
yeah, interesting, because like that sweet spot for the center gets smaller the wider your field of view goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I play 105 again. It really is dependent on your machine and what you're comfortable with. Just because a lot of people play 105 doesn't mean you should go 105. You should experiment with it and see what you like, because you might not like that fishbowl thing. Again, a lot of people set it to 90. Anything above 75 is going to feel worlds better.
Yep.
Just straight up.
Yep.
You're not going to feel as claustrophobic. Also, if you're switching to PC and you don't know this, if you're trying to get high frames, and if your monitor can do 144 FPS or higher, or 120 or higher, whatever, you still have to set the in-game settings to take advantage of higher frames. So that usually means going full screen and then also telling it to be able to go above 60 FPS. Because a lot of people will try, they'll get that and then be like, I don't see a difference with 60 and 144. Turns out they're still looking at 60 FPS. So you need to make sure.
There's a few things you got to check for that. Like, you got to check your graphics card settings to make sure that's set up right. You got to check that your monitor is enabled for higher than 60 FPS. But do 10 minutes of research on Google, and they'll kind of point you in the right direction.
Yeah,
to make sure that you have it all set up.
Yeah,
a lot of monitors have a frame rate counter built in, so they'll actually tell you if it's working correctly.
So even
You might not want to play with VSync as well.
yeah,
I don't know. Depends
Mhm.
on your monitor, of course, but
Yep.
I think most people prefer without VSync, but it really does depend on your monitor.
On low frame rates, I'll turn it on. Like if I'm getting like around 60 FPS on a game, I'll turn it on because it helps with screen tearing and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I use adaptive sync. I'll specifically use G-Sync, but
Yep.
like it does help. Like, or if I'm playing on a 4K TV, I'll turn it on because screen tearing sucks.
yeah. My general rule of thumb is if I'm playing a game at 60, then I'm probably going to put VSync on to make sure it's locked at 60. If there's some sort of
Yeah.
weird inconsistency with the frames or whatever. But if you're playing an FPS game for the high frame rate, do not VSync. It adds
Yep.
input delay.
You
And-
can't even see the
Yep.
frame tearing if
Yep.
you're playing at a high enough frame rate.
Yeah, as long as
Yep.
it's below 144 hertz, and if you're on a 144 hertz monitor, you're not going to see any of the tearing because you're technically seeing all the frames possible available to you. So you want to look at those things, and you can actually. In my particular instance, I've had times where the game tells me I'm at high FPS, but I'm still seeing 60 because of the way Windows Desktop handles multiple monitors. So again, that's why you got to watch out for that stuff. Generally speaking, when you go full screen, not windowed full screen, but full screen, it's going to give you the actual FPS that the GPU takes a hold of it, locks it, and then gives you the actual FPS that the game is seeing right there. So
Yeah, multi-monitors can really fuck shit up.
yep,
Yeah, it really can.
it happens to me all the time. Drives me crazy. There's a few games out there
Yeah.
where like you have to jump through hoops to get it to go higher than 60 FPS because
Yeah.
of the multi-monitor setup. But yeah, those are pretty general. Yeah, but
And
Also,
if,
even if you have a high frame rate monitor, set your frame rate cap so you're not just like blasting your graphics card like 100% of the time to the max frame rate.
And so
like,
you're not fluctuating.
yeah.
and if you ever see a game that have motion blur, turn it off. It's terrible.
Yep.
I don't 100% agree with
I
that.
agree.
I think it's
I
actually pretty
hate
good.
motion blur.
Especially
I don't like motion blur.
I'm one of the
Per-
people that doesn't mind. I can totally play a game
per
with
I
motion blur.
hate
object motion blur. I think is actually really cool. Like when it's just a filter that over the whole screen. I think it's distracting, but when they have per object motion blur, I think it looks really cool.
I hate
Depends on
any
how it's
motion blur.
implemented.
It
Yeah,
makes me want to poke my eyes out.
Yep. I don't like it.
I generally I'm like, yeah, motion blur, whatever. So
I've stopped playing games because of motion blur. It wouldn't let me turn it off.
it's pretty funny. One more thing that I saw in chat, which is very true. Cables can 100% affect your ability to go higher FPS. So if you got a 240 FPS monitor and you want to take advantage of that, you're probably going to have to go with DisplayPort. So make sure you have a DisplayPort cable hooked up and all that. They could have a lower spec.
And possibly like the
Yeah.
newest version of DisplayPort, like
Yeah.
1.4 is the newest one.
Yeah, well, if you connect a low version or an old version of HDMI, you're not going to be able to
Yep.
get that high with the frame. So that's
Hey,
important as
does
well.
HDMI maxes out at like 120. Is that right?
It's a certain spec. I can't remember the exact details, but
Right.
older specs don't go as high as newer spec HDMI ports.
5 minutes of research does a world of wonders here, and you literally just buy it once, plug it in, and then never thinking about it again.
Yeah, for sure. But if you plug in an old HDMI cable and you're like, I don't see any higher frames, this could be part of
Yeah.
the issue.
This is a problem with 4K as well. 4K HDR. A lot of people are plugging in old HDMI cables.
Yep.
That don't support it. Where am I? Shit.
We're at that point of the podcast, guys.
Yep.
Chops Calisthenics says, "What is your best guess at what the new raid will include?"
Spooky stuff. Spikes. Lots of
Explosions.
spikes, maybe. Milk.
Dicks.
Well, with our call outs.
Penises everywhere.
Dick walls?
Penis on left. Penis on left.
Yeah, agreed.
I hope there's some stuff that actually looks like a penis this time instead of us having to give it a name that doesn't make any sense.
I agree, Watts. You know,
Yeah.
I agree.
Phallic first.
What's with this penis hate, Bungie?
Yeah.
That's when it makes sense, because like someone comes in who's not with our group and we're like, yeah, it's penis. They're like, oh yeah, totally, I get it. Instead of being
Yeah,
like,
clearly.
that doesn't make any sense.
That is a circle. I don't know what you're talking about. What's the top down view? Comet says, we discover Holtzman is the raid boss of ShadowKeep and the reason the moon is haunted. What are the mechanics to his boss fight?
He's
He
definitely.
only uses gunslinger.
Well, I'd say there's something like I think his wipe mechanic is cooking a batch of gumbo. Sorry,
Gumbo.
not
Jumbo.
jumbo. It's a jumbo batch of gumbo, and you have to kill the crawdads before they get into the pot to prevent the white mechanic.
Crawdads are definitely the
That's
mob.
good.
Yeah.
I think he whips his Hot Topic studded belt off and just like whips you. And wipes
That's
the
how
whole
he
team.
selects somebody, and somebody gets the buff by him cracking the Hot Topic belt on you.
Someone gets sent inside the pot.
Yes.
Because you
Oh my God,
the
yes.
Riven Walk, someone's inside, someone's outside, you're inside Patrick's pot.
Yeah.
And you can't do any damage to him until you blast the PlayStation hat off of his head.
Yeah. And when you're in the pot phase, you have to sabotage the recipe, otherwise it doesn't work anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. This is great. We should tell Bungie about this idea.
Yeah.
We should tell Patrick. Maybe he'll make it happen.
Steve Berg says, what earbuds does Tefty use?
I've been using Bose Pure Sport earbuds I bought from Best Buy for about a year now, maybe 2 years, something like that. Before I used just the Apple earbuds because they were comfortable. I purely go for comfort first and audio quality second because I already have tons of really expensive headphones, but I find that I fatigue after 2-3 hours of wearing headphones. So I go for comfort for long streams.
I have really tiny ear holes. So in-ear hurts.
Do you have problems
really.
diving?
I've never been
Equalizer pressure?
Probably.
I have small ear canals as well, and I have a problem with that.
I would go take lessons and let you know. I'll keep you updated on my ears health.
Are you prone to ear infections?
I used to be when I was a kid, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Yeah.
It was really bad. Used to hate taking a shower because when I was really young, because every single time there'd be water in there and you can't get it out. And then something bad will happen. I'll be deaf for like 2 weeks.
Damn.
Terrible.
Small ear canal life.
Right? Is it corkscrew? Corkscrew ear canals? Is that why it gets trapped in there?
I don't know. I know they're small, so it's hard for me to
Yeah.
equalize pressure when I scuba dive, and I was prone to ear infections when I was a kid because I'd always have my finger in my ear too.
Yeah.
Stuff in there. Little dirty little fingers. Pedro VCM says, "Hi DCP crew. What each of you like to do? What do each of you like to do in your spare time? Spare time. What do you like to do?
I enjoy cooking.
Nice.
I like cooking. I see it as alone time. You know, it's my time where I'm just in the kitchen, hanging out. Maybe I'm drinking some stuff. Maybe we're watching some stuff. Got some music playing. It's just a fun time, and you get lots of nice smells. You're hungry. Things are looking delicious.
Nice. Yeah.
It's a good time.
I've been binge watching season 2 of Ancient Aliens on Netflix. It's been fantastic.
I saw that.
That's amazing.
It's been fantastic. It's so good. They make
it was so fucking good.
They always like pitch some sort of like, you know, it's super creepy and they're coming to get you type of thing. And every episode be like, they could have been doing this. There could have been some logical reason for this. Or the aliens were trying to screw you.
Well, that's the obvious answer.
Ancient
Aliens.
astronaut researchers predict.
My favorite episode is they have this little gold figurine, and it looks like a bird, but like the dorsal feather makes it look like a plane. Like there's like a vertical feather in the back, and they're like, "Look, it looks like a plane. There's no bird that looks like this." And like the whole time, nobody mentions, or the guy is just a shitty artist and didn't realize it.
Have you seen like the way they used to draw cats?
Yeah,
terrifying.
What do you do, Drewsky, in your spare time?
For me, I don't know. It's I like spending time with my girlfriend, with family, playing soccer. It's fun for me, and playing Yu-Gi-Oh. It's actually a decent. I live in Toronto, and there's a pretty nice local scene, competitive scene. So it's a reason to go out and go back inside and play more games.
Awesome.
I like to do stuff with friends. I like to golf with friends. I like to I like to go out to dinner and like that kind of stuff. I like to drive too. Like I love the act of driving. It's just fun.
You like cars, bro?
I'll just go for a drive sometimes. Like if I'm bored, I'll be like, I'm just gonna go for a drive. Fuck it. And drive. Not to a destination, just drive.
I like watching anime. Don't think anyone knew that.
No.
Couldn't
That's new.
Couldn't guess.
You just start?
Just last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm
Noodle James says, how does Shax like his coffee? I think he's a pumpkin spice guy. Extra sugar, extra cream.
Yeah, you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He loves
definitely
pumpkin spice.
spicy.
Mm-hmm. He likes that basic bitch coffee.
Basic bitch.
I like that basic bitch coffee too. I had a nitro pumpkin spice nitro this morning from Starbucks.
Yeah.
It tastes like pumpkin pie. It was fucking delicious. It was like drinking pumpkin pie.
I can't drink those. They're too sweet for me. I feel like I'm having like
Yeah,
a
usually they are,
dessert.
but this was the nitro. It didn't have a lot of extra sugar in it.
No?
Like the nitro cold brew. You ever tried the nitro cold brew?
No. Huh?
Oh, it's pretty good.
I don't have that, but I do. I love the chai tea lattes, so I do have my own basic bitch drink of choice.
Nice.
I think Shax might get down with the chai tea.
I love them. I love them.
Yeah,
So good.
He definitely gets down with smoothies. You know he gets down with smoothies.
He's drinking protein smoothies. Absolutely.
Yeah, all the time. The more kale, the more better. Irvoid says, hey guys, what do you think about the fragmentation of the streaming market? Disney Plus, etc. Should we all go back to pirating? Thanks for making 4 years of 8-hour-a-week commuting bearable.
It is getting rough, right? It's you got a new subscription. You got to like, it's getting to the point where I have a subscription for one show that I like.
Yes. I think
Which
the
is
key
insane.
is to cancel. Is keep track. First of all, keep track
Yeah.
of all the subscriptions you have and cancel them.
Yep.
You know, keep it for a month, watch all the shit they got that's interesting to you, cancel it, get something else.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of inevitable that it came to this though. After like the success of Netflix, it's like why wouldn't companies with their own original content just want their own platform with it?
Yeah.
True.
Yep.
Their own piece of the pie, right?
Yeah, they might as well
Yeah.
collect those fees, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah. You know, I hear there's this like really small, charming company called Comcast that's willing to take your business and give you stream television shows directly to your house via this like thing called a cable. So maybe we should go back to that.
Yeah, it's time to get cable back.
You know, it's
Ridiculous.
crazy. It's like I think I would miss out on too many shows if I had cable and not like all the other stuff. Like most of my favorite stuff is coming out on like Netflix and Prime now, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
everything
lot
is
of
streamed
really
now.
good stuff.
Honestly.
Yeah. Like I really am digging all the comedy specials that Netflix puts out now. Like I think that's awesome. I like watching comedy specials. And they have
That's-
some great ones on Netflix now.
That's honestly why I don't have any desire to drop Netflix ever, because there's always, even if it's bad, there's a bunch of stuff that like, you know, I'll check it out and see. I might get halfway through it and be like, wow, this is cringe. No thanks. But I'm still curious. Every week I'm like, okay, I want to see what's happening. What's next? You know, what?
Yeah, Netflix I keep all the time. Prime I keep all the time because it comes with Amazon Prime, and we just use that for our whole family. Hulu I turn on and off all the time depending on what's
Same.
on there. Handmaid's Tale is new season of that. Turn it on.
Yep. And then I turn it off.
HBO used to be a leave it on all the time, but not anymore.
Right?
Game of Thrones ain't here no more.
No
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Disney Plus I'll probably check it out when it comes out, but I don't know. They got some of those like Marvel TV series that might be good.
That's why
Yeah.
I want it. Like
Yeah,
I'm really big into
I'll
That's
check
why I
those
want
out.
I'm
it
definitely
too.
getting it for that.
Because they're like, oh, this character's going to be in the new movies. So if you want to
Yeah.
know their story, you got to watch the show.
And they're going to
On
release
Disney
their
Plus.
shows weekly. It's not going to be like just a big drop like Netflix does. But even then, like I know that eventually you'll be able to watch the whole series. So maybe that'll be a turn on and off kind of thing too.
So
Could be.
the question is, at what point are we going to see the drop off of a bunch of services closing doors and being like, it's just not profitable to keep it up and running anymore, and go back to big?
That is the question,
like,
right? Because there's so many of them.
Because they're all trying to get to where Netflix is. Netflix is the behemoth at the moment, and then obviously there's Amazon and like a few others. But like
They just got so much money that they can just throw it at people to make cool stuff.
that's
for them.
literally what Amazon's been, or I mean Netflix has been doing, and also Amazon. They're just like chucking things, being like, the script's half done, whatever, just finish it, make the film, film it now. Who figure it out in post? You know, it's like that's been going on for a while, and it shows. There's a lot of really bad shows on Netflix right now, but
their movies are terrible, like almost across the board.
Yeah, you could tell they had a good idea, got halfway through, and then were like,
film it.
What should we do here? Just, you know, it's done. It's bad and done.
Apple TV Plus, they've spent $1 billion on content. I'm wondering what that's going to look like.
That's pretty crazy.
But yeah, there's a ton of them.
Yeah. At a certain point, some of them are obviously going to fail, and it's going to become like the Google. What was the?
I wouldn't be surprised if Hulu is the first one, because that used to have everything on it. Now it's got very little on it.
Yeah, doesn't it still get all the main shows first on TV?
No.
No?
It used to, but it doesn't anymore. I think now it's just Fox. Is it just Fox? Because didn't ABC? It used to have CBS and ABC, right? And they both left.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow it closely.
Somebody smarter than me needs to correct us. Dr. Eric Diebler says, if you had to do your life over again from your late teen / early adult years and had to pursue a different career, what would that career be?
Professional skydiver.
Fuck you.
You're like, all right, gotta go to work, guys. I gotta go jump very far from the top.
Who pays a professional skydiver, and for what exactly?
I don't know. It just sounds like a crazy life.
I'm gonna be a professional cat sitter, I think. I don't even need to go to school for that. Just show my clear, amazing cat looking after skills. Start my business, and then I'll get enough money to make a house of just like where a cat hotel that's pioneering the way with technology, where people can look at their cat and talk to them through the internet. That's what I would do.
Brainwave technology.
This is also my backup plan when streaming goes downhill.
Cat sitting.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do it from like late teens, but I would definitely want to go like if I could rewrite things, like go full force into like wanted to be a pro soccer player. That'd be 100% it.
That's
pretty cool.
With a shy $15 million contract for a team or something like that. Just your basic $15 million.
I'd love to. I love the sport. I love soccer. I watch it all the time. I love playing it. I really wish that I could have pursued that in some way. Tried, at least.
That's cool.
I'm older than you guys. I've actually had a bunch of careers. Like right out of college, I tried to work at an insurance company in a cubicle, and that wasn't for me. I've worked retail at Staples, and I actually love that. I've been a cable guy. That didn't last long. Hated it. I've been an IT guy. You know, I do this. A photographer. Like I've done all sorts of shit, and I don't know if I'd take any one of them away because they all been their kind of unique experiences that have kind of like expanded my horizon. Like if I hadn't worked retail, I don't know if I'd have the same sympathy for people who do work retail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like everybody should have that experience just so you know what they're dealing with on a daily.
Yeah.
Oh, it's hard to say I'd change anything.
I'm the same way, man. I didn't start streaming until I was like 31, 32, something like that. So I wouldn't want to change things.
Protheon says, what is the worst thing you did as a kid and do you regret it? What's the worst thing you did as a kid?
Worst thing you did? I think I decided it would be really fun to walk to my friend's house that was like 25 minutes away without shoes on.
Oh.
Do I regret it? No, it was fine. Nothing bad happened. People probably thought I was weird, but I don't know. It seemed like a good idea at the time. It was not. My mom was very concerned as to where I was.
My mother used to steal my bike tires off of my bike because I I wasn't supposed to go riding around and to my friends' houses when I was grounded and stuff. So one time I took the lawnmower to my friend's house. That was fun. I drove the lawnmower.
I remember one time my friend, I think it was like my best friend. I was a kid, obviously. Best friend had stolen like Super Mario Brothers 3 for the Nintendo and lied about it. And I punched him in the face. I was like 8 or something. 8 or 9.
Did he steal it from you?
Yeah, of course. That's why I was pissed. And I punched him in the face.
Oh, I thought you
okay.
were like upholding, the right way to live your child life. You're like, I do not believe. How dare you steal from the store?
No, he stole it from me.
That would have been better.
And denied it. I punched him right in the face.
Thefty is what I was expecting.
In retrospect, not the right way to handle things.
Nah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like I'm really trying hard to like remember like the worst thing I would have done. I think the thing that sticks out to me is like in grade school, like when like I don't know, grade 2 or something, I broke a kid's wrist.
Damn.
On
And
purpose.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was like really stupid. So I was like twisting your wrist and he said to stop and I just didn't. I was just like really dumb. I totally regret that because I got in a lot of shit. I don't know why I did.
But you gained a lot of respect, didn't you?
Has anybody seen? I just saw this on Reddit like a couple of days ago. It's a picture of this big burly dude in prison uniform, and he's like, "Look, when they tell you to go to prison, they say pick out the biggest dude in the prison yard and kick his ass, and nobody will fuck with you for the rest of the time you're in prison." And I'm here to say, I'm in here because I've cheated on my taxes. Why do you keep fucking with me? He's like the biggest, burliest dude, but he's a sweetheart. It was funny. I guess you gotta say it wasn't that funny.
No, it was funny. I enjoyed it.
One time when I was in 4th grade, I got frustrated playing field hockey in gym class. We were out on the field playing field hockey. So I full on like big baseball bat swung and hit one of the other kids in the shin with a field hockey stick.
Damn.
Obviously, immediately, and I knew that my impulses had gained the better of me. And I looked around and I saw that the gym teacher was running at me flat out. So I ran and I made it all the way home. Start to finish, no part of that went well. And I regret that. I'm sorry, Ken. I shouldn't have hit you with that field hockey stick. Justice Beaver says, you find yourself in an unfortunate situation of having to make a deposit at the porcelain bank in the public restroom. Bad turns to worse when you realize there's no TB.
Oh, God.
And this is a disgustingly filthy public restroom, so obviously no bidet. How do you escape this crappy
No bidet.
situation?
There's no bidet in like super clean public. Where?
Yeah.
I was living in a fancy place.
I don't know what it is, but I always check if there's toilet paper.
A bidet.
I
Oh,
always check for a bidet.
yeah. Tefty's in there like, do you know if there's a bidet in here?
Is there a bidet in this
Call ahead.
establishment?
All right, never mind.
Hello, McDonald's. Bidet. Look, you already fucked up when you found yourself having to take a shit at a public restroom. Like that, you already fucked up.
Yeah. I'd say plan your dumps, man.
Yeah, man. Get your shit together, literally. Nevis says, would you rather be a toothbrush or toilet paper?
Wow.
Toothbrush. I live longer.
Yeah, I think
Definitely toothbrush. I don't understand. Like, that's not even a question.
Hold up.
Maybe
What's the
they have a
comparison?
really bad mouth.
Hold up, though. Think about
How
this.
bad can it be? It's not an asshole.
But just think about this from a perspective of a journey. All right. Now, obviously, the fecal contamination is going to be just through the roof.
Huge downside.
Huge downside if you're going with the toilet paper route. However, the journey and the trip is going to be way more detailed and interesting than the toothbrush. The toothbrush is going in the mouth all the time, and that's it. You're living in the
Toothbrush,
bathroom.
daily torture.
Daily torture. You're a once
really just one bad event with the toilet paper, and then you go like on this roller coaster ride.
Yeah, you hit the anus through, then you're in the toilet, and then you're experiencing a whole system, a network of pipes and valleys and landscapes. You know, it's a journey. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah, those pipes though aren't like super great.
No, of course not.
No, that's
Obviously.
gross.
Yeah,
it's gonna be bad.
I don't know if it'll be a fun ride. It'll be
I'm
a
gonna
ride.
stay with the toothbrush, I think. Yeah.
As toilet paper, you can't get sick because you're toilet paper.
Yeah.
You can't get sick as a toothbrush.
True. But you're getting shoved in the mouth all the time.
I don't think there's a comparison.
This is drunk Tefty right here. Tefty's like, but if I'm toilet paper,
just saying,
I don't get a cold.
You get to see the landscape if you're toilet paper.
Living free, fancy free is TP.
If you're a toothbrush, you know, you got a shelf life. You hit the mouth some number of times, then you're thrown in the garbage, and then you hit the landfill, and that's it. That's your life.
That's it. Not super exciting.
Yeah.
But the toilet paper, I mean, it basically disintegrates within a few minutes.
Yeah.
In that water.
Well, that's true. But like those particles are going to go through a whole sanitization process until it's brought renewed, you know?
You're going to be slowly
it's the circle of life,
torn to
really.
pieces.
Exactly.
Renee Garcia says, hello guys, love the show. Do any of you own a lawn? Do you mow your lawn or do you pay to have it done?
Mow the lawn. I mow my own lawn.
I have children. I own a lawn and I have children.
I don't have a lawn.
Math class says, do people with only 9 toes run in circles?
Depends on what toe.
I think it does depend on
which toe's missing.
Yeah, which toe?
Yeah.
We need to follow up on this question.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Agreed. Justice Beaver says, you've been arrested, but haven't been told why. When you call your family from the police station, what do they assume you've done?
Ooh.
Punched a kid.
I mean, it's not going to be good.
Punched a kid in the face for stealing my video games.
I found you, Tommy.
You thought you'd get away.
30 fucking years.
Not happening.
What do they assume you've done?
That could be anything for you, Briar. My God.
I feel like I'm going to keep guessing, man.
Arson, Grand Theft Auto. God.
Grand Theft Auto.
It's just the sky's the limit for Briar. Busting shit.
I feel like it's good to keep them guessing, you know? If I don't have that phone call once every few years, I feel like I'm just sitting on my ass doing nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they would assume.
All right, 2 questions.
I don't know.
Should we pick for other people?
Good.
Don't know.
I can't think of one now. I can't think of anything funny.
Maybe trespassing for me, I guess.
Trespassing into Area 51.
Yes.
Hey.
Ooh.
What?
Doughboy says Domino's or Pizza Hut?
I'm gonna go with
I haven't
neither.
had Pizza Hut in like 15 years.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Domino's has a gluten-free pizza, so I actually have had the option to eat Domino's with the gluten-free pizza option, but generally I'm gonna go with the pass.
Yeah, but on both, right?
Yeah.
Domino's is great when you
respect
want
on both.
really greasy
Really?
pizza.
Yeah, but I feel like Pizza Hut's more greasy than Domino's.
Probably.
Yeah, I like both, to be honest. But I would go with Domino's if I had to choose one.
I gotta say, I respect Pizza Hut for the innovation of putting the cheese in the crust.
Yeah.
That was top tier thinking. That was
amazing.
putting your best men on the situation and getting things
Culinary
done.
brilliance.
I like it. Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Sophistication in the arts.
Mm-hmm. So just because of that, I'm gonna say Pizza Hut.
On the merit of design
That's
and
fair.
exploration
That
of
makes sense.
future of pizza.
That's right. I can't wait to see what they've got next up their sleeves, up their grease-laden sleeves.
Well, now it's like Papa John's, right?
Wait, Papa John's
Didn't
took over Pizza Hut?
No, I mean he was so he sold Pizza Hut. It wasn't he. He was probably part of the design team to make that happen, and then
Oh,
went
really?
to Papa John's.
He was the brain behind
I'm assuming he had been the brain
cheese
behind
ring
Pizza Hut.
technology.
He was probably like, "It's time to innovate again. Let's go Papa John's." You know,
Dude, I want to know how that conversation happened because, like, one guy says in a room full of other people, "What if we put cheese in the crust?" And everybody else looks at around the table and says, "Why the fuck didn't we think of that?" This is the simplest thing.
did they patent it at the
crust.
patent office?
They must say because nobody else does it, right?
I've never had it, so maybe it's just not good.
I've never had it either, but it just sounds fucking like just really smart. Private Pancake says, I need answers. If you had to film a classic pizza guy delivery porno
Oh boy.
and cast 2 enemies from the Destiny universe to star in it, who would you choose and why?
Gall
Right.
and Callus.
Gall, who's the pizza delivery guy?
Callus.
Callus is delivering pizza.
Callus, yeah, he comes to the door. He's like, "Do you want to grow fat from strength?"
Want to grow fat from sausage?
That's the answer.
And Gall is like, I think so.
Mhm.
What do I
That's
owe
the best
you? I think the rest writes itself.
answer. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, easily.
Very little writing needed, I would imagine,
Yeah.
actually.
Do you think we could convince Neil Kaplan to record these lines?
I think we could.
I think he'd be up for that, honestly.
Yeah. I don't think it'd be a stretch to get him to do it. That's it, guys. That was all the questions for the night. Long
Nice.
podcast. I think we went almost 3 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, the Big Boy Podcast. Well,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun. Thank you very much, guys, for all the support here on DCP. Thanks for tuning in live. If you're tuning in live or listening on the various distribution platforms, we did have an ad that went out on the RSS feed, and we should have let you guys know about that beforehand. We apologize for that thing that happened right there. We had some miscommunication.
Was it the one for the fleshlight?
It was the fleshlight ad. So yeah, we should have been more transparent about those things. So we apologize about that stuff, guys. But we do really appreciate all the support on all the channels, whether you're watching live on Twitch or on YouTube and various places. And again, thanks for if you support us on Patreon or if you use a Scuf code, all that is greatly appreciated, guys. Drewsky, where can people find you out on the internets?
So on YouTube, just Drewsky's channel, Twitter, Drewsky's channel, on Twitch, Drewsky's without the channel, and then Instagram, Drewsky's channel as well.
Awesome.
Perfect. And this is the final one before Shadow.
Yeah.
That's right.
The
Next time you
Shadow
see
Keep
us,
is
we'll be
on
living
us.
in a whole new world.
Armor
Only
2.0.
does.
Probably played about 24 hours worth of ShadowKeep.
Yeah, probably. I'm trying to decide if I want to be on right at 10 a.m. or just get on at like noon or 1 and have like a full 12, 13-hour stream then from that point.
Yeah.
You know, because if I get on at 10 a.m., like, you know, I'm all about grinding, but at a certain point, if I know I'm going to be on for multiple days on a grind, you got to pace
you don't wanna be
yourself.
tired.
Yeah, you got to pace yourself,
Yeah.
right?
What time does the raid come out? Like time in the day?
Probably 10 a.m., right?
Yeah.
Probably
Maybe
10.
you know what I would do if I were you, Tefty, is I'd try and work yourself up to 10 a.m. So start at your normal time, and then like every day do like 2 hours earlier until you're finally starting at 10 a.m. So you're not just like exhausted on raid day.
I could do that, or I could just be like, well, I guess raid day is the day that I have to get up early. And then that's it.
Got it.
We'll see.
I'm Brian Rabbit. You can find me trying to figure out how to get a hold of Tefty to wake him up on raid day.
Nice.
I'm Miss 5000 Watts. You can find me playing a lot of Code Vein until ShadowKeep comes out. If you like anime, if you like Dark Souls, if you like either of those things separately, you will love it. And
Anime
Miss
and Dark
5000
Souls.
Watts. Yes. Yes, I made the boobs as
Are you
big
gonna
as
be
we could
streaming
get.
it
She's a cat girl. No, I'm gonna be starting. I decided to start tomorrow at like 9 a.m. Play all day
Ooh.
instead of going until really late tonight and then getting up later, and then it's just a snowball effect. I decided that I'm just gonna have a really long day tomorrow.
All right,
Nice.
so 9 a.m. Pacific time.
9 a.m. Pacific.
That
I'm gonna
is so
be
early.
watching. I am in love with my character. She's beautiful. She's called Nyanko because she's a cat girl. Her code name's Kitty.
Oh, so stretch.
Find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Just look for Miss 5000 Watts.
Awesome. Also, follow up on that. You will be talking about Code Vein on Monday for side quests, right?
I will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for those that don't
Yep.
know, we also have another podcast, DCP Side Quest, where we talk about all things video games that are not Destiny related. So we don't split that up in this podcast, which should be Destiny related, right? Yeah.
It is called the Destiny Community Podcast.
Exactly.
It is.
Exactly.
We didn't say we were going to talk about Destiny the game. We said the community. So
Yeah.
We just talk about Destiny the streamer.
There you go. Yeah. So if you're interested,
And Destiny style.
if you're interested in that, it happens 1 p.m. Pacific time on Mondays on the DCP Live Twitch channel, and is also a part of all the syndication RSS feeds for the podcast. And it also is getting its own YouTube channel, right? Or it has.
It's got its own YouTube channel.
Yes.
It doesn't have it's not an easy one to say because it doesn't have a vanity channel yet.
Right.
But if you go to the DCP channel, you'll see a link for it.
There you go. Yep. Also, you can find me at Teft on Twitter if you'd like to say something on Twitter or send me a cat meme. I like cat memes, honestly. They're good. Cat memes are great.
that memes are great.
Yeah. And catch my streams, twitch.tv/TeftyTeft and all that stuff. So, yeah, next week will be ShadowKeep.
It will be.
Exciting. Very exciting.
Yep. So excited.
Thanks for watching,
Exciting
guys.
stuff.
That's the show.
Thank you guys.
We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye.
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 Take care.